what's up and how's it going, guys? I am your host, Jacob Nestor, and we are in the closet. Today, I'm joined by my constant co-host, Nick, as always. What's up and how's it going, dude?
It's good over here, man. We out here living. I'm working a lot. I'm glad we're able to, fill these podcasts in because I feel like I'm super busy all the time right now.
Oh, for sure. This is
Um,
definitely one of the highlights of my weeks these days is getting to sit down with you or
I
whoever else we get
agree.
on this podcast and talk about this shit. And I want to take that to
Yeah,
just kind of shout out the listeners because we've actually been like getting listeners on our podcast, which is fucking awesome. I mean,
that's what I heard.
combining over the streaming services and YouTube, we primarily get a lot of our views on YouTube, but
Okay,
we've been getting like a minimum of like 20 listeners on each podcast basically, which is pretty fucking awesome. So just huge shout
that's
out to you guys. We got
that's
a
really sick.
listener in Germany, I think, and a listener in Italy, I think.
What?
Fucking
That's
super whack.
real cool. What?
But shout out you guys. It
Hell
really
yeah!
means
Yo,
a
shout
lot.
out,
Love doing this shit.
shout out Italy though, for
Yeah,
real.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm so happy we're able to do this when we could find the time. Eventually, I think it would be better if we, figure out a structure where we
Yeah,
can record it and
if we can get
have it come out.
a real weekly schedule, like I
A
said
real
at the
schedule,
beginning,
yeah.
I have the thing how this is a weekly show, but basically every episode has come out bi-weekly at
We,
this point.
I honestly don't mind that. It gives me
It's
more
fine.
time to
Yeah.
watch
I
stuff,
mean,
and if I want
especially
to, like,
yeah,
what's
especially
that?
in these past few episodes, we've been having to watch a lot of shit, like with the Nolan and
Yeah.
this one with the Kaufman stuff, and having to catch up on a lot. So, gotta get that
Well,
time to watch those because we want to actually give our real
ex-
thoughts on them.
yeah, especially with Kaufman, dog. Like, I had to rewatch a couple of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
super interesting stuff.
it was it was needed. That time was needed.
Absolutely. But anyway, before we get into Kaufman
Yeah.
though, we're gonna do our what we've been watching. So, what you been watching this past week, man?
Let's get into that. So I've watched quite a bit of shit,
Same here.
but I'll give some highlights. Some interesting highlights that I thought were interesting. Okay. So a couple things I've seen this week regarding like TV shows. I watched the series Tales from the Loop. You've heard of this?
Oh yes, yes. That it has John Lithgow in it, or am I? May
Jonathan Price, I think
Jonathan
is.
Price. That's it. That's it. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah. That's been sitting
Um,
on my Amazon queue for way too long.
yes. So I heard about the show like 6 months ago. I even saw the trailer, and then I kind of forgot about it. But it interests me because the show's based off the author is Simon. I'm gonna say his last name wrong, but I think it's Stalenhag.
Hmm.
It's based on the book called Tales from the Loop,
Okay.
which is famous for its stories, but more famous for its visualizations and its pictures and like
Interesting.
uh, they're famous on the internet. I would say his other book though, which is called Electric State,
Hmm.
is the more famous because you see a lot more of his drawings from that book, which are like ominous buildings in the background, like just pieces of like certain ominous like sci-fi technology in like rural Ohio or whatever. Um, like they're really famous on the internet. I feel like if you're ever on Reddit, you totally run across it, one of these. Um, so it was really cool to see um, those images that I like fell in love with without even reading the book, seeing them on screen
Hmm.
in this show. I thought it was
Oh,
very
so
cool.
you'd read the book previously to watching the show?
I I've never read the book.
Oh,
I've
oh, okay,
never read
okay.
the book. I just know the the pictures and the
Hmm.
visuals from the book are so famous online
Okay, okay,
that and it's so cool looking. I feel if you look them up, you will immediately be like, oh, I've seen these. I
for
feel like
sure.
if you've ever been on, but uh, I definitely want to get the books one of these days because just to have them and read them. But this show's really good, man. As I said, Jonathan Price, Rebecca Hall's in this.
Oh, right,
Um,
nice.
the show's kind of basically based on like I'm not gonna give too much away. It's based on like a
Mm-hmm.
town, and this town has the loop, and this loop affects people, and it's
Interesting.
like an anthology. It's like an anthology, I
Okay.
would say.
I'm a big fan of anthology stuff.
It's also 8 episodes. I finished this in a day.
Okay.
Hard recommend.
Yeah.
Hard recommend.
I definitely gotta check this out.
I hard recommend. Uh, Another show that I've been checking out. I only started the first season, but I've loved it so far. It's called Succession.
Ooh, okay. I've heard
It's
quite a
on
bit about it. Yeah.
HBO show. I do believe it's his second season of the show. I think it got some Emmys recently.
Okay.
And I can see why immediately, man. This show's directed by Adam McKay,
Oh, that's
and
right. Yeah.
throughout the series, it feels like Adam McKay directed it, but it's basically I think it's people that have definitely worked with him before, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how they got the same feel. But it's not. It's
It kind of reminds me of
other
the Eddie
directors.
a little bit. Did you ever watch the
Oh
Eddie?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
how
yeah.
they're kind of like
Uh,
copying Damien Chazelle's style in a lot of those.
a
That's cool.
little bit. Yeah.
Not as
Um,
successful as he
but if
does
you
it for sure, but love that
probably
show.
not. But yeah, God, that show's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, Succession, man. Fucking Brian Cox. You know
Oh.
Kieran Culkin.
Uh,
Kieran fucking Culkin.
Name rings a bell, but I can't picture
It's
him.
it's Culkin's. It's
Macaulay
Macaulay Culkin's
Culkin's.
brother,
Okay,
like his twin brother, basically. I think.
interesting.
He's fucking amazing in the show. He's a total asshole. But
Perfect.
this show is like a powerhouse for Jeremy Strong, who you will recognize if you see other Adam McKay movies like
Of
Vice or The
course.
Big Short. But Jeremy Strong, who's always been like a tertiary character in these movies, is like a gigantic character in this, and
Mm-hmm.
he's really really good. This is the best roles I've ever seen him in.
Right on.
Hard recommend for Success. If you like Vice Man or The Big Short, you'll love it.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, I love The Big
Um,
Short. Not too big on Vice. I think that movie kind of fucking sucks, but
yeah,
big
I heard
fan of The Big
a lot of
Short
people
though.
don't like Vice. I agree.
Yeah.
Some movies I've seen this week. Also about Succession, really quickly. One of the
Mm-hmm.
best themes to a TV show I've ever heard in my life,
Mm-hmm.
hands down. One of
Okay,
the best.
right on.
It's
You're talking about
it's
musical
so
theme.
good. Yes,
Yeah.
the main intro to the show plays it. It's really good. And they actually use it throughout some of the episodes as well. It's so good that fucking Pusha T had to come up on the track and remix it. It's
Damn,
that good.
tight. That's
Um,
tight.
it,
Better than Twin Peaks
it's
theme though.
dude, it might be.
Damn. Okay.
It's
Okay.
incredible.
That's hot.
It's
That's hot.
incredible.
I
Um,
definitely gotta check it out.
I've seen a lot of movies this week. Bunch of
Same,
Kaufman.
of course.
But other than that, I've been like trying to get into Halloween spirit a bit, so I've been watching some horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
I watched both the Sinisters for the first time. They're both on
Oh, okay.
Netflix.
Okay. I've never seen either. I honestly don't
And
even know
first one,
anything about them.
really good,
Yeah.
really good. I can't believe it took me this long to see the first one at least. I like the first one a lot. I think the second one has its flaws, but actually, the second one's not that good. But it continues like the story and I don't know. It's a whole nother book, I guess. But other than that, I watched Crawl. That was a
Yeah.
2019, I believe.
The alligator movie.
Crocodile. Did you watch
Yeah.
that?
No, I was
You
actually
saw
kind of
that?
intrigued. No, I didn't,
Oh,
but I was pretty intrigued by it.
yeah. It's Sam Raimi produced.
That's right. Yeah.
Director. I think it's Feed Alvarez. I could be wrong. Really, really fun. Just fucking monster movie. I love that shit. And if you could
Yeah.
do it right in 2019, that's impressive.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Also, it's just like nonstop action. It's awesome.
Good. When
Um,
I saw the trailer, I thought it kind of looked potentially like not cheesy enough. Like it didn't fully embrace that like
oh yeah,
action
yeah,
heavy
yeah.
style of monster movies type beat, but it
Mm.
kind of sounds like it does.
I mean, it goes full into like just creature feature, man.
Good.
And
Good. That's what I
I
like.
dig it. I
Yeah.
fucking dig
That's
it.
awesome.
It's got really good performances in it, as well. Yeah, I think it was really good.
Tight.
It was a
Yeah.
gem from last year, a hidden gem.
Yeah, I'll
Actually,
put that on my list for sure.
I think it made a lot of money actually.
I think so too.
Uh,
I saw a lot of fucking marketing for it at least.
yeah.
With Sam
Uh,
Raimi's name attached to it too. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah.
What's isn't Sam Raimi working on a new horror movie right
I
now?
think so. Let me check.
Or is it? Oh no, he's doing that fucking Marvel thing right now. He's
Is
doing
he?
that Doctor Strange movie. It's either
That's
that one
right.
or it's
I
like the
think
new
you're right. I think he is
it's
doing the.
Spider-Man 3.
I think he
It's
is
either
doing
that or
the.
Spider-Man 3.
No, I think he is doing the Doctor Strange movie. Hold on. Oh,
That'd be
side
so
note
funny
for
if he did.
Spider-Man 3, they just announced that fucking Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro for Spider-Man 3 with Tom Holland. Did you hear that?
Wait, not Tom Holland. It was
Yeah,
wait, what?
the Tom Holland movie, the
He's
Tom
from
Holland Spider-Man movie, the third
yeah, he's
one.
from
Jamie,
Amazing Spider-Man
yeah,
2.
yeah, I know. It
Oh, that
seems like
movie
they
was
might be doing
trash.
some fucking Spider-Verse shit. I don't know.
Oh, that would actually make sense. Holy shit, that might be interesting, dog. Like a live action Spider-Verse, bro.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nothing's. It's not coming up on his IMDb. Anything he's working on recently besides this show called 50 States of Fright. I haven't heard of that. Um,
damn.
I don't know, but
Um,
I feel like I do remember them announcing that Sam Raimi would be taking over for the next Doctor Strange.
that should be interesting, I
I hope
guess.
so at least. That'd be
Um,
cool.
yeah, we'll see. If they make it rated R, I'll be intrigued, but I don't think Marvel will ever do
Probably not,
that.
but we'll see.
Go fucking full Sam Raimi,
Yeah,
but
bro.
we'll see.
First year with no Marvel movies. First year in like 10 years with no Marvel movies or some shit like that. None's
Okay.
being released this year. They officially moved Black Widow the next year, so
Black
that
Widow's been
means
moved.
yeah,
Okay,
so that
interesting.
means no Marvel movies are coming out this whole year, which is a little bit of a gut punch for me. I'll admit. You know me, of course.
Uh, I know I love Marvel.
I know you
I've
are
been
too, but
weirdly getting like kind of tired of it. I don't know why,
that's fair. And
but
I definitely felt that um towards like maybe in like the middle of like phase 2 maybe. But
oh, interesting.
the way that they wrapped up this most recent phase of Marvel movies, obviously, you know, with Endgame and then with the new Spider-Man movie and such, those are two of my
Did you like
favorite fucking Marvel
Did you like
movies.
the Spider-Man 2?
Loved it, loved it. I think I
Okay.
might like it more than Homecoming. I don't know. I
I I
I
I like it a
really
lot.
loved it.
I
Far From
like it a
Home.
lot.
Yeah.
I love Tom Holland.
Mm,
But uh, even in that movie, I felt like weird for some reason. I don't know.
interesting.
Just,
Maybe it's good to have a break.
I never thought I would feel this way about Marvel movies.
Yeah.
I was like, I could watch Marvels into the rest of my life, but
Same.
I don't know. I'm getting real off track here. Two
Oh
other
yeah.
movies I've seen real quickly. Do you know Get Duked? I saw this on Prime,
Oh,
and I was like, "What is this?"
I know very little about it. I know
I,
that it was at a Sundance earlier this year under a
it
previous
was,
title,
yeah.
and then they
Oh,
switched
really?
it to Get Duked. I can't remember what the previous title was, but it sounded a lot cooler, and I heard about the premise of it, and it sounds really interesting.
Yeah, Get Duke's a pretty weird, not a very good name for it, but
Yeah,
there's an interesting scene in the movie where they use it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, anyway, I thought it was really good. All the actors are unknowns for me at
Hmm.
least, but they were good for the most part. They were really funny. It's a really funny like horror comedy basically.
Right on. Yeah,
Um,
perfect for the time.
it's uh, it's definitely low budget, but they use it to their advantage.
Type.
Some of the some of the comedy is very British, and if you like that,
I
like
love me some
any
British comedy.
Edgar Wright type speak,
Yes,
it's
sir.
awesome.
Right on.
So yeah, I recommend Forget Duked.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that movie's got a really. I know you'll love the soundtrack to this movie as
Okay.
well.
I'm
It's
hyped. I'm hyped. I definitely am gonna check that out.
yeah. Other than that, uh, low light for my week. I think it was 2018 Predator. I think it
Uh,
came out 2018.
I can't remember, but
The Predator.
The Predator.
It was Shane Black coming back as director. Um, I mean, no, Shane Black coming as director from being the first one.
Yeah.
And I see why people don't like this movie that much.
And this is your
Um,
first time watching it?
yeah, I didn't
Oh,
watch it in
I
theaters.
I I, I assumed you would have caught that one in theaters.
No, I that so 2018 was a weird year for me, where I was like really like not watching that
Uh
movies
huh.
in theaters. I was like kind of depressed. It was weird.
Fuck.
But it was just a weird time. But
Yeah, yeah.
and
No, I
it was
got you.
definitely a movie I wanted to catch. But when I heard like all the bad reviews, I was like, well, I'm not gonna watch it now.
Hmm.
And I bought it on Blu-ray a few months ago, and I was like, oh, I'll watch it. I remember it being in my PS4 ready to watch, and I never watched it, and I took it out to play fucking the new Doom game. So it was just sitting on top of my PS4 for the longest time. So I took it and I watched it, and I kind of hated it. It was pretty bad, which sucks
uh,
because I love the Predator series.
uh-huh.
Oh, I guess I should mention I did watch the Alien versus Predator movies. I watched both of them. And it was
Oh
real. The first one's
God.
interesting. The second one is almost unwatchable. It is unwatchable.
Oh God.
It like I've never felt that way about a movie
Hmm.
in a long time, man. Like it's
That's crazy.
it sucks, but that's what I've seen this week.
Damn.
Yeah. What have you
Nice,
seen this
nice.
week, Jacob?
I've been watching a lot of shit this week. Start off with TV as well. I can't remember
Let's
if
do it.
I brought this up last week or not, but there's this show called Pen 15 that's on Hulu. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes, I
god.
have.
I haven't seen season 2 yet, but I binged season 1 last weekend and I am fucking obsessed with this show. It is
Oh
so good. It's just absolutely hilarious. The premise is just, of these two 30-year-old women who are the writers and creators of the show. Just them as seventh graders, going through seventh grade, and all of the other actors are their real ages, and it's so absurd, but it works so fucking well, and they really blend in so perfectly, and the humor just always hits. The It's so uncomfortable at times. Obviously, is depicting middle school in such a perfect way.
It's like
I
it's like
really,
cringe humor, right?
yeah, yeah. It's a lot of cringe humor for sure, which is
Hell
right up
yeah.
my alley. And I actually started watching it because of Charlie Kaufman. He I've been listening to a lot of Kaufman interviews recently, and a lot of interviews with people that are always like, "What's the latest great thing that you've watched?" And in basically every single one, he's like, "I've been obsessed with this show called Pen 15," and he just like go on a
Whoa.
rant about how much he fucking loved the show. And so that's what drew me to it, to watch it, and
Very cool.
I highly
And you finished the
recommend it.
first season already. Wow.
Yeah, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's only 10 episodes, like 22
Okay.
minute episodes, so it's
Oh,
really
okay.
not bad. Yeah, it's pretty
Well,
standard like
that's
sitcom.
that's that's perfect, man.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
perfect. I just
perfect little show. Really excited to watch season 2. I think that aired on Hulu last week. Got to catch up on that,
this
but
is a Hulu show.
yeah, yeah, highly recommend that show. And then obviously we won't talk about it too much, but I've been keeping up with the boys in Lovecraft Country as we've been saying every week. Lovecraft
Oh
Country just
yeah.
keeps getting fucking better and better, man. I am really loving this
Oh,
show.
I think I watched the recent episode and it was really incredible.
Yeah, the
Um,
one with Hippolyta.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's some
yeah,
fucking star makers in this movie. I mean, in the
absolutely.
show. Also, I've heard a lot of people like kind of like say some shit about this show. And I think the show's got its flaws, but I think none of the flaws have anything to do with the acting in the show and the
Hmm.
story in the show. I
Yeah,
think it all has to
the
do with like
hmm
visuals and
oh for
whatever.
sure.
Because I think this is an amazing
Hmm.
performances all
Yeah.
around from the show, and the story is incredible.
The writing and performances definitely carry this show, and that is not a fault to it. It is
Well,
so
yeah,
heartfelt and such an engaging, interesting story. And man, all the actors are really just fucking pulling their weight for sure.
eh,
And I'm really
I
excited
agree.
to see how it
Yeah.
ends. I think we got 3 more episodes left. Um, So that's
Yeah.
exciting. And then The Boys
Three
is
episodes. Wow.
yeah, 10 episodes
Boys is
in total.
great.
Yeah, Boys is
Latest episode
awesome.
of The Boys was fantastic.
Thing
Had a
that I
giant penis in it. It
yes,
was awesome.
yeah. Maybe we'll talk about The Boys more a little. Go into some little spoiler things maybe
I,
when it's done.
I, I,
Um,
yeah, I think that might be a
but
good idea. We'll use that in
big
the
fan of
segment.
that show for sure. Um, I think that's really it that
Also,
I've
I want
been.
to.
No, you go. What's up?
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, Lovecraft Country is like, like it's got just some really good horror to it, like
Mm-hmm.
really good horror elements.
Oh,
Specifically, there's been
I
some.
so like I I
Which
feel
one?
like the fucking the skin.
Oh, I was gonna say that. Yeah,
Ah,
it's
that
got
got me.
amazing body horror in
Yeah.
this show, like some of the best I've seen in television ever. And the fact that it's like mainly like black horror, and black horror feels like it's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's really cool to see.
For sure.
And fucking Journey Smollett
Journey
is not my
Smollett,
wife for some reason. I don't understand,
fucking
but
tragic. Absolutely.
that's for another episode, I
Bro,
guess.
oh my god. Those sex scenes with Jonathan Majors and Journey Smollett in the show. Oh, oh, those are spicy.
Yo,
Jeez.
they go ham. They go
Those
ham with
are
the sex scenes in
those
this show.
are
I can't lie, man.
those scenes are very very sexy, very hot, and I love them.
Yeah. My favorite sex scene was the one with the nine tails.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Oh.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yikes.
Ooh, going into some hentai territory here. I don't think I'm gonna kick Nick out of here. Yikes.
You said that was the.
No.
Nice. You said that was what you've been watching this week.
The
And Butcher Coffee.
for TV shows. But I
Oh,
have
sorry.
been
Go ahead.
watching quite a few other movies this week. I mentioned it last week, but I finally watched Mulholland Drive for the first time, and
Yes. Yes.
yeah, that's an instant favorite of mine. It's definitely my favorite Lynch I've seen so far, and
Whoa.
I've been loving Lynch. And this is not a slight to any of his movies. I also think Blue Velvet is also a masterpiece, and I also think Eraserhead is, and I also think Twin Peaks Fire Walks with Me is. Uh, and I'm really fucking excited to check out more of David Lynch's movies because I'm really
Are you
loving
just
it.
getting like? You just getting like a David Lynch mood, or are you getting ready for Dune? Have you seen his Dune movie?
No, I haven't. That's obviously on the list, but it's just kind of how I watch movies. Is I'll usually kind of pick a director and just kind of
Oh yeah.
start burning through their stuff. So right now it's been obviously the stuff I've been doing for the podcast with Kaufman and Nolan, but the ones that I've been really diving into on my own recently have been Lynch and Jim Jarmusch. I've been I've been talking
Jim
about Jar
Jarmusch.
I've been talking about Jarmusch on every fucking
That's
episode of this podcast.
yeah, you have. Yeah.
And for good
That's
fucking
an interesting
reason.
catalog, huh?
I'm loving Jarmusch's stuff. And so the two Jarmusch that I ended up watching this week, first one was Dead Man, Johnny Depp's psychedelic western. Have you seen it?
No. I don't
Very interesting.
know.
Have you seen any movies by Jarmusch?
I haven't seen many.
Mm-hmm. He makes very weird
Cause of
indie movies for sure.
cause of his, yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving his style though and everything about his movies, and Dead Man is no exception. It's a really, really interesting movie. The only complaint I really have for this movie is when I was about to cry at the end scene, and my brother sits next to me, fucking yells, "Ha! This movie's fucking horrible!" And so that kind of took me out of it.
That's
uh,
that's fucking funny as shit. What the
oh God.
That is one way to fucking ruin the experience though, that's for
Absolutely.
sure.
Just
Shout
fucking
out
shout out Elijah. Go fuck yourself.
yeah, shout out Eli, man. Fuck yeah.
But still loved that. But then the one that I ended up watching that is the one that I've finally given 5 stars. All of Jarmusch's movies that I've seen so far, the highest I'd given is 4.5 stars, which is obviously incredibly great. But the one that I think is his masterpiece that I've seen so far is Broken Flowers. starring Bill Murray. This movie really got to me. Um, obviously I don't want to get into spoilers like we like we do in this section, but something about this movie really just hit me hard, and I really think it's Jarmusch's masterpiece. And it's a little bit different than some of his other movies in the way of it's not an anthology. It still almost kind of feels like it is at times, but it's definitely like a structured story. Um, it's really really sad, but really fucking good, and I really loved it. I highly recommend
Where'd
Broken
you?
Flowers. I got that
Okay,
on
very
DVD
cool.
actually. I was
Okay.
at yeah, so I was at this thrift store on the coast last weekend, and I picked up a few movies on DVD there. I got Broken Flowers, and then I got butcher this name Paris J Tami. It's a anthology story about just love stories in Paris that a bunch of other directors in on. Cohen brothers have
Ooh,
a section in it. Alfonso Cuarón has a section in it. I think Steven Soderbergh
interesting.
might have a section in it. A
I
bunch of famous
fucking love all
directors,
those names.
and
Hell yeah.
so I'm very excited to check that out for sure. And then I
What's
also
that called again?
Paris J Tami, I think.
Bro, you're gonna
I
have to
think
send me that link.
I think it the title is Paris I Love You, but
Okay. That
sorry
sounds
to any
real
French
interesting.
people who are
I
just
gotta check that
fucking
out.
I'm butchering everything. But yeah, come over and watch that shit. I still haven't watched it yet. I'm very
Hell
excited.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the other thing I got at the coast, I got this pack of 50 sci-fi classic movies, but they're all like B movies you've never heard of,
Hell
and
yeah.
they're fucking awesome. I'm so excited to start burning through them. Just some of the titles are just so great. Horrors of Spider Island, Bride of the Gorilla, Laser Mission, and then
Yes.
there's like 20 different Hercules ones. I'm hyped. There's some
Oh my
great.
god, there's what was the fucking obsession with old cinema wanting to remake Hercules every single month of the
Dude,
year? I
insane.
don't understand.
I don't get it, but I'm very very fucking excited to start just kind of burning through those. The perfect
That sounds real fucking fun.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
perfect movie to watch when you're just really really fucking tired.
Yeah, I'm so
Hyped,
tired, dude.
hyped for that.
Yeah.
But other shit I've been watching. Another David Lynch thing. I caught Rabbits. So it's a short film by David Lynch. It's 40 minutes and it's on his YouTube. So go check it out on there. It's a one static shot, and it's three rabbits. They're humans wearing rabbit costumes. One of them is fucking Naomi Watts. Um,
I've heard about this.
and
Yeah.
it is like
I've seen
obviously
some of
full
this.
on surreal, weird David Lynch shit. And this movie
Yeah.
fucking terrified me. It is so unnerving. It does like so little, like I said, like almost there's no camera movements, all just like a static shot. Not too much happens. You really don't understand what happens at all. But the mood that it sets you in is so fucking intense and just like gut turning. And I
Interesting.
highly recommend. It actually really blew me away. It's
You found
just
this on
crazy.
YouTube?
Yeah, it's on David Lynch's
I'm
YouTube,
checking this out.
which I've
I
been
love it.
obsessed with. He started back in May. He
You see a
started doing daily
poster?
weather reports. Have you heard of
What?
those?
I had
Yes.
no did
Oh my
not know about
god.
this.
So these are the best fucking thing. The David Lynch
What?
weather reports. So it's all for the first few months it was always just like reading the weather, looking outside, describing how it was, have a good day, that type thing. But then sometime I can't remember when he started it, but he started putting in like an anecdote in every single one. So he like reads the weather and then he like says something that he's thinking about that day, or talks briefly about something that he's doing that day. And it's really fucking
Interesting.
interesting and also just like really funny. Um, so yeah, I've been watching David Lynch's weather reports every weekend or every fucking day for a while now, and they are awesome. Highly recommend those. Post them every single morning, every single day without fail. And that's also where you can
All
find the
right.
Rabbit short film. Then the last thing that I
Fucking
ended up catching, I finally watched Borat. I
yes,
finally watched Borat
yes.
for the first time. This
Did you
fucking
buy it?
movie. I have it on DVD. I've had it on DVD for a while now, actually.
Oh,
Alongside,
yeah, you have. That's
yeah.
right.
So,
You showed me.
to talk about this a little bit, just because it'll probably come up more about all the random fucking movies on DVD that I have. I have a collection of about like 150 DVDs, and also like some Blu-rays, some Criterion releases, and such like that too. And how I got most of them, and why like so many of them are like I haven't seen most of my catalog, is because there's this record shop in Portland that I used to go to all the time. It's just a really big record shop, but they have this tiny little movie section, and they have a section of 50-cent movies. And so every single time I would go there, I would just burn through the entire section and grab any movie I knew the name of, basically. And
Hmm.
so that's how I have so many fucking random movies. And I've found classics. I mean, I got The Godfather 1 and 2 and Lawrence of Arabia from there, got The Graduate. I got fucking Borat. Like, I've got a lot of great shit from that collection. Shout out Everyday Music. Um, they got a great little movie selection. But fucking Borat, dude. Oh my god.
I love Borat.
I've
I love
never
Sacha Baron Cohen,
I've
man.
never can I consistently laughed more and harder in anything than the Borat movie. It is the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. And it is also such a painstakingly like horrifying look at America and religion and stuff like that. The commentary it has on those things are so like real and awesome,
It's
but it's like
insane.
it's done in just the most
It's
insane way.
he
It's
makes these
crazy.
people incredibly comfortable to just act, say, and do whatever they
Yeah.
want,
And
and
so
it's a real talent.
yeah,
It's
it's
awesome.
absolutely a talent. And so I haven't did you ever see a show Who is America? Uh
I did. I fucking
I
love.
haven't. I haven't.
I
I
oh,
need to. That I'm gonna watch it very fucking soon. Especially
it's
because I don't know if
it
you've
was a
heard, but
Showtime thing, but it's really
Borat
good.
2 confirmed dropping on Amazon Prime day before election
Yeah, the
day.
trailer dropped, didn't it?
Yep. It's dropping the day
That's
before
crazy.
election day on Amazon Prime. Trailer looked pretty fucking
That
funny.
should be interesting.
I'm hyped. Yeah, it's gonna be
That's
fucking
very
awesome.
cool.
I'm very,
That's
very excited for that. Excited to see what he does. The plot it revolves around how everyone knows who Borat is, and so he has to do like these other disguises to do these things and shit like that. Um, but it's gonna be crazy.
interesting.
There's a scene in the trailer teasing some crazy shit that he does with Michael Pence, which is gonna be fucking awesome.
Oh, really?
And then also in a
Like
little interview
that's
I saw, apparently, they did get some sort of high level politician tricked to go into an interview with him, and they said some really damning shit in it. Apparently, obviously they wouldn't say who that politician is, and I'm
he's already
incredibly excited to see who that is.
and this is America. I mean, who is America? Uh, he did that I think with a couple
Yeah, I
politicians,
mean he did
and
that
one
in
of
the
them had
in the original one too. I think
yeah he
he
did, but like but and who is America? One of them had to fucking resign, bro. One had to leave because he
Jeez.
got because he I forget who it was, but he was like just saying the N word, screaming the N word, and like being really homophobic, and like
God.
it was funny as fuck.
Yeah.
Seeing this fucking
This
uh
horrible fucking human.
horrible fucking person, yeah.
Yeah.
And it
That's
ruined his
crazy.
life, so
Yeah.
that's pretty funny.
I'm excited to see who else he can ruin their lives, because realistically, it's not him ruining their lives. It's them, because they're the racist fucking homophobic pieces of shit. So don't be racist, homophobic, transphobic, fucking whatever, Just don't be a piece of shit.
Facts.
Yeah, huge
Oh
shout out
yeah,
to that. Incredibly excited for Borat too, but
big fan of Sacha Baron Cohen, man. He was
absolutely.
supposed to be Freddie Mercury, bro.
Dude, if only. If only they had him as Freddie Mercury and then didn't fucking hire Bryan
That
Singer
movie
in the
would have been
first place.
yeah. I like how we replaced the only like good thing about that movie.
Absolutely. Fucking A.
Yeah.
Whatever though.
They
That
should. I straight up thought they should just can that movie
absolutely.
and like if
I
they were
mean,
gonna do something, do like a good biopic
yeah,
and
from the
just, like you can
beginning.
use Rami Malek,
Mhm.
but just like ugh,
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
it's just like from the beginning, the fact that they hired Bryan Singer to go onto the movie, I already knew like
Well,
this movie's gonna be
at the
shit.
time, known predator Bryan Singer,
Yeah,
yeah.
known predator. Everyone fucking knows this guy is a predator. And they
Yeah.
still, and then obviously more shit comes out, and then they're like, "Oh, sorry, we'll fire him and get a different director," only because there was backlash when he was a known predator. Fuck Bohemian Rhapsody. I will never watch that movie.
That movie's ass,
Fuck
man. That
everyone
movie's
involved in that movie
trash.
for actively working with a predator and then acting surprised just because of backlash when they knew he was. Fuck that movie.
Also, Brian May. There's a lot of weird stuff that's come out about him
Really?
and his involvement with the movie. Yeah, dude. It's like
Fucking A, dude,
it's just
of course.
not. It's just not fun, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyway,
enough about that.
yeah, enough about that shit. That's what I've been watching this
We'll
week.
get into that. We'll get into that next week. All
Yeah,
right. We'll talk.
we'll talk more about pedophiles next week. That's our specialty on this podcast.
Next week on the QAnon podcast with Jacob Nestor. We will be talking about the deep state pedophiles, the pedophiles, if you will.
Of course. That is
Yeah.
what we're all about here. No.
Join
Fuck
our
them all.
Facebook group.
Of course, yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do it for our what we've been watching section. Check out all those movies if you haven't. Leave a comment or DM us if you have any. You want to talk about any of those movies. Maybe you watched and fucking hated it, and you want to scream at me about why it's the worst movie ever, or you want to. You're happy that we recommended it. Just let us know.
Your opinion sucks.
I hate your opinions. Why are you so aggressive with your opinions on this podcast? It's because they're fucking opinions.
Why do you have a different opinion than me?
Oh, no! You don't like The Dark Knight? What's wrong with you?
That's a hidden gem, bro.
He's the best movie of all time.
Yo, Heath Ledger though. Yo, Heath Ledger, bro, swear,
Bro, swear.
Swear, bro, best movie of all time, swear, bro.
Oh God.
Yo,
God.
swear.
Fucking
Edit this out.
Edit. Oh, what a shit show this show is. Oh my God. Anyway, we'll get into what we're actually here for. We're talking about Kaufman this week. Charlie Kaufman, baby. This guy, writer, director, new director, only started directing in 2008, but he's very well known primarily for being a writer in the early 90s, coming out in 99, being John Malkovich, I think it was. Blew up onto the scene with that. Obviously, a lot of people mainly know him for his Oscar-winning script, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I am a massive fan of this guy, and he's my favorite writer of all time. I really do think he's the best screenwriter of all time. And yeah, that is just my personal preference, but I really think he just is the best. And his movies just mean so much to me. So we're just going to kind of do a little introspective here on just how we feel about Kaufman in general and, when those movies came to us in our lives and what they mean to us. I'll kind of start with this. The first one I did watch was, his most famous, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And I only watched this for the first time in actually like early 2019. It was the first Kaufman film I'd seen, and this movie really fucking blew me away. I mean, I was in a kind of toxic relationship at that time, and this movie really fucking hit home in that sense, and it really hit home in a way, rewatching it recently, of just kind of reminding you to even if shit ends bad, just because shit ends bad, it does not mean the journey was not great, I think that's a really important message just for so many aspects in life. to really still appreciate, good times that happen. Don't not letting one incident ruin everything. Obviously, that does not mean you shouldn't move on. Of course, you need to move on and accept what happened, but um, you know, you still should enjoy those great times. Just, because that's who you are.
Mhm.
Your memories define you, and erasing your memories is never going to help. Forgetting something is never going to help. All your memories and things that you've done in your life are what defines you. And I think that's just a really fucking powerful message. And that was something that really resonated with me at the time and still really hits me these days. And I really fucking love
Are
that.
we talking about this? Are we talking about Eternal Sunshine?
Yeah, actually, yeah, we can do it that
Because
way.
it was the first Kaufman I watched too. I
Okay,
believe.
yeah,
I think.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, speak on it then.
and it is because it's like one of his. It is most popular, but it was
Hmm.
also like well regarded in like film study
Absolutely.
and cinephile culture. So I was like, I don't even know when I saw it. I think I was in high school, but I was like, oh, this is a movie I gotta watch. So I watched it, and I loved it. And I actually rewatched it recently for this thing because I haven't seen it
Hmm.
since then. And on my second viewing, I got like a lot more out of it. I think.
Hmm.
Um, um, Being a little bit older than I was when I first watched it.
Hmm.
Um, and like this movie is fantastic. Like, I'm fucking sobbing at the end of
Absolutely.
this movie,
Every
man.
fucking time.
And this movie, man, is like I think hour 40 minutes, but it feels like 2 hours and 30 minutes, man.
Hmm.
Like it just feels like
It really weighs
it,
down on you.
it really does, man. And something I got out of this viewing was all the fucking actors that I just like and actresses I just completely like ignored when on my first viewing, like uh fucking uh Elijah Wood, Mark Ruffalo, Kirsten Dunst is adorable in this movie. Oh my
Hmm.
god. Um uh, uh and seeing all these like tertiary characters, there was like a whole nother fucking story with them. And I kind of related a little bit to that one. And I was like,
Hmm.
damn, this is real fucking this is like real shit, you know? Like it's based on this like science fiction concept, but this is like like shit that's going on is like real feelings and real emotions that real
Hmm.
people have. And with a lot of Kaufman movies, they may be real weird, but they get human emotion and they get human um, tendencies and stuff and
Hmm.
whatnot. He gets it right, especially with his dialogue. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I love this movie.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie, and like you're saying, with the humanity that he brings in his scripts, is something that's really prominent in all of his movies. Is
Oh
they
yeah.
really are just so perfect at just depicting real human emotions and how people really are, and it shows them in just the most surreal, crazy, wacky worlds. Um, but it's the most honest look into reality, I think, in most of his movies,
Mm.
which is something that I just find so engaging. But the next one that I did end up watching was Synecdoche, New York. Hey guys, sorry to butt in. So in this next section, Nick and I talk about Synecdoche, New York, and we talk about some pretty big spoilers into it accidentally. Sorry about that. So if you haven't seen the movie, skip forward until 59:25 and then you'll be good. So sorry about that, but thanks for listening. And so this movie,
You watched this? So, sorry,
uh-huh.
quick aside. You watched this after you watched
No, so
Spotless Mind
actually,
for the.
I like I said, I saw Eternal Sunshine like around beginning of 2019, and then all of the other
Right.
Coffin movies I'd seen this year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this year.
I've seen most of his like in
Hmm.
the last week. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like I said, I've watched most of them this year. And so
Hmm.
they don't have. It's not like I have long distant memories. Like I have with like Moonrise Kingdom of watching this movie when I was young and like evolving with it as I grow older and such like that. Like all of these movies are still like fairly new to me. but I've never related to any movie as
Oh my
much
god,
as
yeah.
his scripts.
I
Every single
yeah.
one of his movies, practically every single one of his movies, it really feels like he's just like writing my fucking life, which is just insane.
Oh
And
wow.
how like I've seen so many other people online who feel that exact same way, which is just kind of crazy. Um, how he can
It's weird
relate to
how
so many people.
I agree with that completely. Um, he's his writing is very relatable, and I think it's very special when a movie can change the way you think about things or change your
Absolutely.
life even. And I
Mhm.
feel like Kaufman's movies have done that for millions of people,
Mhm.
which is insane.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that exact same thing. Like this movie changed my life. This movie changed my life. I'm like, I can see why.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
Synecdoche, New York. Go ahead.
Synecdoche, New York, though. Yeah. So the embarrassing fucking story behind this movie. I was in my film class beginning of 2019. I was in a script writing class. It was the only like 2 terms I took in college. One of them I took this incredible screenwriting class where I ended up writing the basically the whole class was just writing a feature length screenplay, and so that really was super helpful for me. But in that class, I remember the teacher asking everybody if they'd seen Synecdoche, New York, and no one else raised their hands, and I hadn't seen it, but I still fucking raised my hand
What?
for God knows why, because I'm a fucking idiot and I just wanted to seem smart for no, because I knew what the movie was, but I obviously hadn't seen it at all, and I just
Really?
wanted to seem fucking cool for watching this movie, I guess, which is the stupidest fucking thing ever. Um, and so when I finally ended up watching this movie earlier this year, it just broke me. It the Synecdoche, New York is a movie that really is just depicting humanity in every aspect of humanity. There are so many tiny little details in Synecdoche, New York that um makes it endlessly rewatchable. And there's so many themes and ideas that this movie tackles, but it never feels like it's bogged down with them because at the core of it, the whole movie really is just about diving into humanity and what it means to love and what it means to create and what it means to have relationships and such. And it just really fucking got to me. I watched it on a night where I had made plans with like 3 or 4 other friends and all 4 of them canceled, and I was feeling pretty fucking sad, and so
Fucking rip.
I turned this movie on. I'm like, all right, I like to watch kind of depressing movies when I'm depressed. It makes me feel a little better sometimes. Let's see how this movie
I feel
does.
that.
And this movie really ended up helping me out in that way. Um, it just really put a lot of things into perspective. The way that it tackles just relationships and love and humanity. It just really fucking blew me away. And the style of it, like I said, there's so many tiny little details throughout it that make it so interesting. And a thing that's so great about all of Kaufman's movies is the humor in them. And
Mm.
Synecdoche might be one of his most depressing movies. Um, and it's one of the funniest, I think. There's so much great fucking humor in it that it really comes from like the surreal world and the characters and the actions that they're doing that I think is so funny to me. But those also double as just being such like honest depictions of people, which I just think is really just fucking incredible. And I really loved Synecdoche, New York.
Yeah. I loved it too. It took me a second viewing to love it, I think. But on my first watch, I was like, wow, this is really good. I'm just like, kind of don't understand some of it. So
Mm-hmm.
going back uh, was a different experience because I picked out a lot of things
Yeah.
that I did not see before. Um, this movie, like a lot of Kaufman movies, messes with time a lot, or messes with the way we perceive time
It definitely
and the
messes with
way
time probably the most out of like any Kaufman movie in a way.
in this one.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
Like
Cynic.
I mean,
I would say so too.
and you know, in the first like 10 minutes of the movie or some shit like that, it's like 30 years of his life. It's like every
I
single
didn't catch that.
yeah,
I caught that on my second viewing,
it's
and my
insane.
jaw dropped to the fucking floor when I first caught it.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "Holy shit!"
There's
That
so
it
much
makes the
shit.
movie
Yeah,
much more sense after
there's
that.
so much shit in this movie. I obviously I completely did not understand. I'm not acting like I understood any of this movie on its first watch, but the
Well,
way
it's funny you say
it
that.
still felt just so real though. Like the mood that it puts you in and the ideas, like even if you
Right.
don't fully understand what's going on, you kind of do though.
Yeah. No, totally. But it is funny you said on the first watch you didn't understand it because I didn't, but I found it interesting that you got like all these aspects of like love, relationships, and whatnot, which is included to what I saw in it, which was like dying,
Hmm.
death,
Oh, for sure.
um,
Yeah.
missing out,
Yeah, definitely.
not finishing,
Yeah.
before you die, dying young, um, and I find that very interesting. This is Kaufman, the most Kaufman movie, and it's funny that he directed it because it makes
Hmm.
sense why this movie you can find so many layers, so many themes, so many relatable things, and I feel like this movie's perfect because you can get so many different feelings from different people from the way they see this, um, and I think that's I think that's perfect. I
Yeah.
think it's his best movie. Um, yeah, man. Like, uh, we didn't even mention fucking Philip Seymour Hoffman
Performance
in
of
this
a
role.
lifetime. Absolutely.
I wouldn't say this is his best performance, but this is up there.
Hmm.
Um, and the fact that he was the main character was really cool because I haven't seen a lot of main character Philip Seymour Hoffman roles. So
Absolutely.
that was really cool for me. I cried at the end of this movie, and
Hmm.
throughout it, I
Same.
kept saying, "God damn, I really miss Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah.
Uh, we lost we lost such a great actor in
Hmm.
2014."
Absolutely.
Um,
A legend.
and the fact that I think I was thinking about that a lot. I did see I'm thinking of ending things before this, so I was thinking about death a lot before. But
Hmm.
when I watched this, like all I could think about was Philip Seymour Hoffman dying at
Yeah.
like an early age, and how eerie of a movie this is,
Hmm.
representing a guy that's cause feels like he's consistently dying throughout the movie,
Yeah.
and when he does, it was real sad.
Yeah. It's tragic for sure. I
The
really
fucking monologue at the end of this movie, was it Ellen talking to him in that
um
earpiece?
I can't remember, but an interesting
Um,
thing about it is
'cause I,
a little tidbit to think about that he isn't the main character, that Ellen is the main character.
right.
Um
Can
and
we talk about like some trans allegory stuff because this comes up in another Kaufman movie, or
mhm.
should we just wait until it comes up then?
We can bring it up now because I think it's done a lot better in this movie. I
I
think
agree. I agree. Actually,
I
yeah.
that's actually obviously what we're mentioning or referencing as being John Malkovich. That's actually really the only complaint I have over being John Malkovich, which is I love that fucking movie, but with such a concept like that, um, the ideas behind transgender and stuff like that feel really untapped in that movie and almost
They
kind
use
of
the term transsexual in that movie. I think
they
that's.
do,
I
but
don't think.
it almost like
I
is
don't even think
played
they use transgender. Yeah.
it's played off kind like as a joke. And I like I'm not saying like
Yeah.
being John Malkovich is transphobic in any way, but I really just think
Yeah. I
like
know.
they could have done a lot more with some of its themes in that movie, including that. But I think he really peaks with it in this movie. It's very fucking clear. Some of those references he's making, obviously with
I agree.
his character and then the character Ellen, the janitor.
Yeah,
is
I
really,
agree.
really striking.
That was a shocking scene for me. It basically, like, the movie doesn't tell you right away. It'll tell you like 20 minutes later, but it kind of just reveals to you there that he's like when he's knocking on what's her face's fuck, the actress that plays his wife. She's also in Bridget
Kathleen
Jones
Keener.
Malkovich. Catherine Keener, who's excellent.
Yeah.
I wish she was in this movie more. When she's like knocking on her apartment in Berlin, and that reveal of him being Ellen, that was real shocking. I was like,
Yeah.
it was like mind blowing, and I had to like rethink things because
Hmm.
there's a moment in this movie where he is wiping his himself, and he's wiping from the front, which a
Oh,
man could do that, but that's
interesting.
something like it clearly looks like he's
Hmm.
like he has female genitalia, but like so
Interesting.
just going back on my second watch and rewatching these things, I thought it was very interesting seeing this. I'm not really sure what the message was, if there was any at all, but I found it very intriguing.
Hmm.
And this is a theme that I've seen in several Kaufman movies, and I'll bring it up in another one that's coming up. But I find it very interesting, and I do not see it being exploitative, and I don't see it being made fun of.
Hmm.
So
I agree.
can't.
Um,
So I don't know. I
yeah,
find it interesting though.
massive fan of Synecdoche, New York. That movie is just such a really, really beautiful movie. And
Yeah.
yes, it is a depressing movie, I think, but I really don't think it's as depressing as a lot of people make it out to be. I've seen a lot of others online talk about how
Mm,
it just fucking like destroyed them. They're like, this is a movie like I'll never watch again. Like one time is enough. Shit like that. And
yeah.
I don't get that. I think this movie is
I
endlessly
I
rewatchable and
I was
engaging
gonna
and
say
entertaining while also just being so thematically rich and honest.
right. I wouldn't watch this movie once. If you can watch it
Hmm.
more, like at least
Yeah,
twice,
I feel that way about
because
every
on my
Kaufman
second on my
movie. Every
second
Kaufman movie benefits from a rewatch.
that's probably very true. And with the second rewatch is when I felt every single emotion all at once. And
Absolutely. Hmm.
fuck man, it's
Something
really
I
good.
highly recommend checking out if you haven't. Your Movies Suck. Adam from Your Movies Suck. He is
I
a.
was gonna mention that
Have you
he
seen
did
the
fucking
series
videos
he did
on.
on it?
So I only watched the first video. I mean, I watched the first and second video, and I thought they were really good. I'm gonna rewatch the whole thing, but he's got a really interesting analysis on it. It's a little bit, some of it's like kind of like really out there, but
Some of yeah, and
he clearly
but it's
likes the
so
movie a
interesting
lot,
though.
and
Yeah.
I think it's funny you brought that up because I think it came up in my recommendations. I was like, I've never seen this before, so I'll watch it,
Yeah.
and it was good commentary.
Yeah,
I like
it's
it.
a great
I'll probably
commentary.
watch the
Sadly,
rest of it.
he didn't finish it.
What?
As in tradition with the movie, he still has not finished it. Which is kind
Oh,
of
interesting.
crazy. It's just been left on the sixth part for a few years now. Very
That's
anxious to
fucking
see
funny.
more.
That's funny
Um,
as shit.
yeah, you
It
it highly recommend it. The whole series and like the making of it is like really mirrored, unintentionally mirrored to like the story of Synecdoche, New York, and such, and it's pretty fucking
interesting.
hilarious. It's basically really meta commentary in a way, but it's so in depth and interesting. Listening to him break down these really tiny details that sometimes don't
Fuck yeah.
always make sense, but hearing his passion about it is just undeniable.
It's definitely one of his more tolerable videos for me.
That's for sure.
Shout out. Your movie sucked
Shout
though.
out Your Movie
Great
Suck.
channel.
He does a lot of good shit. He can be a little annoying at times, but
I like his
he really does put out some
I
great content though.
I like his film festival like quick videos that he does every year. He does
Same.
a couple every year. I think they're really good
Yeah.
to get some like
hmm
movies that I'm gonna be interested in
hmm
award season.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next one I seen was Adaptation. Adaptation I saw for the first time, obviously, like these other ones earlier this year, and I fucking love this movie, Adaptation. This movie is so fucking bizarre. I really think it might be his most out there script in the way that or maybe most creative script in a way, just in the way that he uses cliches in it, um, and narration and all that stuff. Like the meta commentary that's built into the movie is so interesting and engaging. I think it really adds to the emotional tension in the movie. Um, and something that I think is perfect in it is the way it shows the writing process. It the writing process in this movie is the most like realistic depiction of it ever. It is such a weird and introspective and hard to do process. Um, and just those scenes of him narrating over himself. I fucking hate narration. I usually hate narration, but for some
Yeah, same.
reason it works so fucking well in this movie. Like there's so much in this shit in the movie why I think it's so incredible that I don't think obviously it shouldn't work with the cliches, with the narration stuff like that. But then the way it builds on those and adds to them is just really fucking crazy to me. And rewatching it a few days ago, um, it really I just think is such a interesting and just impressive script. While also the movie itself is just incredibly emotionally resonant with the Donald character is just fucking a genius addition. Um, I can't express how much I love this movie, but really just the way that it depicts the writing process was something that meant so much to me at that time. Just something that I'd never seen before, and then the way it built on that, like I was saying, um, it just I there's never anything like it, and that's like all of other Kaufman's movies. But the way it's definitely separated from his others, just in the way of the commentary it has on writing itself, um, is just really fucking crazy, and it really meant a lot to me. And you haven't seen this movie, correct?
Unfortunately, I haven't. I just
Yeah,
completely missed it.
yeah, definitely.
I've heard about this movie
There's some fun
being
callbacks to being John
infamously
Malkovich in it and
meta.
such. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
really?
yeah,
This
some
so yeah.
there's some scenes of like him on this set and shit like that. It's kind of fucking cool. I actually watched this
That's
before
funny.
seeing John Malkovich, um, which was kind of weird. And so I was seeing those things, I was like, that's a little weird.
Interesting.
And then
Yeah,
rewatching it recently after having seen Being John Malkovich, it made those scenes a lot cooler. Actually understanding what was going on in those, and it added a lot more context to the movie. But like other Kaufman movies, this it's just so thematically rich. In the ways it talks about writing in the industry and adapting, and adaptation. Obviously, it's in the fucking
sure.
title of what that means. It's just really powerful movie, and it's definitely one of the Kaufmans that I think I would recommend less than others, purely for the way of how meta it is and like how it uses those cliches and like weird sort of like bad movie techniques in a way. The way it used
Mm,
those so perfectly to like have commentary on them and also like improve upon them, is definitely jarring, and it fucking confused me on the first watch, and I wasn't sure how to feel about it. But though, and once it like kind of settled in with me, and I started kind of just absorbing it and thinking about it more, this movie's really stuck with me. I'm just a massive fan of adaptation. Just as I've been saying, as a writer, just means so much.
interesting. This was Spike Jones directing, right?
Yep,
Second
yep,
movie, I believe.
yep. Second movie after being
So
John Malkovich, which is fucking absurd. Spike Jones is
yeah,
incredible.
that isn't. I was literally thinking about that today. I was like, well, he was an established like music director before, but the fact that he got like two solid movies like that, and they're both like I haven't seen adaptation, but they're apparently both really good. The Being
Hmm.
John Malkovich was
Yeah,
great, but like the fact that Spike Jones came out the woodwork with those two is insane.
absolutely.
Um, but speaking of Spike Jones, his first movie, do you want to talk about that?
Yes, sir. Being John
All
Malkovich. Do
right.
you want to go into that first, though? Actually.
Sure, yeah. So this actually might have been the first Kaufman movie I watched,
Mm-hmm.
but I was like too young to remember it.
For sure.
But like this is one of my dad's favorite movies, so it was on the house, like in the house, like a lot,
Mm-hmm.
growing up. But I finally like gave it a full watch, um, uh, like this week basically. It was on Netflix, which is great.
Yeah.
And this movie's fucking awesome, man. Like, and this, I want to say one thing about this movie, um, rewatching it, there's a lot of fucking like there's a few big name actors in here that are in just like very small roles, um, and I thought that was interesting to
Yeah.
see like Spike Jones be like an industry pioneer and like have all these smaller actors and then seeing them now huge, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, I thought it was interesting.
Definitely.
But
The first time I
it's
watched
basically
this, fucking sorry, little
you're
sidetrack on
good.
that. Um, Cameron Diaz has been a crush of mine since The Mask. Obviously, The Mask, a very formative picture in my growing up days. And
I might have got my
I
first boner with the mask. I don't know.
absolutely,
I
absolutely. And Cameron Diaz is just the most beautiful woman, and I love her.
holy
And I'm
shit.
fucking
And her,
watching Being John Malkovich, and I'm probably like
yeah,
25,
bro.
30 minutes into this movie, and I'm actually I go on my phone. I'm like, who is playing this character? They are so good.
Oh yeah,
I did
bro.
not fucking
Yo,
notice.
you cannot know. You do
She
not know until you see
completely
her
disappears
face.
into the part. Probably, definitely her best performance I've seen. I think just of how transformative it is. It really fucking just blew me away.
And she's gorgeous in this movie. Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Um. Uh. Yeah, man. Which one of my things about this movie? Maybe I'm being like kind of incel about this, but like, how the fuck did like someone like John Cusack get with someone like that? I do not understand. And how the fuck did he think he was gonna get with fucking Catherine Keener? All right. One thing about Coffin movies is a lot of the male characters in his movies are like kind of losers.
Basically every
Not like lose.
single I think almost every single lead in Kaufman's movies are like pieces of shit, and you're supposed to kind of hate them.
Yeah, yeah. Um, at least the male characters for the most part. I don't know why he does that.
Well,
Uh,
to be fair, basically the main character in every single one of his movies is a male character. Um,
like even in his latest movie, which
hmm
features a female, the main character is a dude.
hmm
Um, I don't know,
It's
but
like, oh,
like,
a female is a lead. Psych. But
yeah, really, I thought it was interesting. I was like,
hmm
but anyway, yeah, Cusack's like a fucking loser, puppeteer or whatever that doesn't do anything. Gets a job on this weird floor that has fucking John Malkovich's a portal to John
hmm
Malkovich's head, basically brain, for 15 minutes, and then you get dumped out the side of a road up the outside of New Jersey or whatever.
yeah, they're
And
like New Jersey Turnpike.
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And like you would like when you hear that, you're like, what the
hmm
fuck? This movie sounds stupid.
hmm
Uh, but for some reason, Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jones come through with a really emotional,
hmm
really human movie.
Yeah. I
That's
think this might be.
got a lot of really interesting themes.
Mhm. I think up there with Synecdoche, this might be the funniest
I was
Kaufman.
gonna
Also,
say,
I think this is
oh, okay. I thought you were gonna
for
say the
sure.
best. I
Oh,
was gonna say this is like I think it's second best.
really? Oh,
Um,
I got a different list than
yeah.
that. But I obviously I love this movie. Like I love all of the Kaufman movies. But I definitely think this is probably his funniest movie.
Interesting.
It's just
Yeah, I like how
so
this movie
crazy.
is funny in the beginning, and you're like, oh, it's gonna be a good fun time, and then you're like, oh, what's going on, man? What,
It's
yo,
just
Cusack, what are you doing, bro?
It's like,
Like,
bro, wait, I thought I was supposed to like you. What the fuck? Wait, hold on. Wait,
like,
bro, what are you doing with that monkey, bro? What are you Hold on.
yo, what are
And
you
then
doing, fucking Eliza, bro? Chill,
God.
yo.
And then that fucking end scene is just the craziest fucking ending. Just
Yeah,
absolutely absurd. Yeah.
it is very
Mhm.
absurd.
I don't have as
Um,
much of an emotional story or connection to this movie as with the
no,
rest in this list. Um, but this movie really, I think, is just so fucking incredible. And I love Spike Jonze. Her is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I still do think that's Spike Jonze's best. But
I think so.
yeah,
I think
I
you're
think
right. Yeah.
hers is best. There's just something special about that movie. But man, being John Malkovich, I really got invested in this movie, and all the twists and turns in this movie, like, very much had me audibly gasping and just fucking like, what the fuck? Like,
Oh yeah.
it. This movie really
Actions
just
of
takes you along for the
characters,
ride.
consequences that happen are all jaw dropping in this movie.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, it's yeah one of the
I
more
dig it.
surprising of his movies for sure. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I love being John Malkovich. Absolutely. All right, sorry, we're back. And we're just gonna go kind of into our list now. We talked about more on our personal connections to Kaufman throughout those, and now we're just gonna kind of do a little rundown, finishing off our thoughts on the rest of the Kaufman movies and just putting them in a list. And so, starting at the bottom for me is Human Nature. Human Nature is by far the weakest Kaufman movie. It's the first Michel Gondry movie directed, and I still really like this movie. I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars on Letterboxd. I think this movie is really fucking funny. The humor really works for me in this movie, I think, and I really did feel for our main characters in the way of like they're all kind of pieces of shit doing bad things, but like I understood their emotions and their thoughts of what they were doing. Um, and then also there's a lot. I think the thematically this movie was pretty rich with obviously just going into what human nature is, lol. But I think it does do a really good job at showing out what human nature is. But I think it could have dove in a little bit deeper into some of its themes and made you probably care a little bit more about those characters. But it's definitely the wackiest Kaufman movie, the least serious one. Um, I still like I said, I very much enjoyed this one, but it does feel like a little bit of a weird outlier compared to the rest, I'd say. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. How about you? What's your bottom ranked Kaufman?
Well, I'll go ahead and say right now, I haven't seen adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen. I haven't seen. Oh shit! One sec. I haven't seen adaptation. I haven't seen uh, Human Nature, and I haven't seen Anomalisa.
Mm-hmm.
I guess those would be my bottom, but I'm gonna check them out. But I would say probably Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Mm-hmm.
At bottom. I actually really like this movie, and I love Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Uh, I just it was when Suburbicon. Do you remember when that came out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I basically just checked out a bunch of George Clooney directed movies, and that
Oh,
was one
nice.
of them.
I think it's his
Um,
first one.
I think it is too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I don't believe he wrote Dust Till Dawn.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so either.
Maybe I don't know. But yeah, I thought it was good. I definitely want to rewatch it though. I think after watching other all Kaufman's movies because I might get more out of it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
I
yeah,
I
that was
love
mine.
Confession of a Dangerous. So I watched this for the first time yesterday, actually, and this movie actually really blew me away. In this first half, I thought it was a pretty funny, engaging movie. I really liked what was going on, but in this second half, this movie it really pulls no punches, and it really is just this beautiful, honest character dive into the who this man Chuck Barris really is, and it doesn't obviously, it doesn't give a definitive answer of whether he was a CIA agent or not. I think it's pretty clear that he definitely was not a CIA agent.
Yeah.
I definitely see some people online kind of confused about that. I don't really understand that. Like, it's pretty clear that he
What?
wasn't. And
Okay.
I don't know. The last half of this movie really,
So
really got me, and I thought it was really fucking beautiful and really honest. And just a really interesting character dive into who this man was. And so I actually had that
Same.
at third to lowest. So at my second lowest, I had
Okay.
Anomalisa. So
Alright.
Anomalisa, uh, this obviously second to bottom, but it's the start of the run of cop movies I love. I still love this movie. Gave this a 4.5 stars, along with basically all the rest on this list besides the top three.
This is probably shortest movie, right?
Yeah, I
It's
think
like an
so.
hour 20 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting movie. The thing that I found so weird about it, um, compared to like criticism I've found online, is I fucking hated the main character. I thought he was a really piece of shit dude. But I did think that was the point of it. I liked it because I thought that was the point of it. And the
Interesting.
scenes of him with the woman are fucking gut wrenching, and I was physically cringing throughout them because I just knew, because the way the story is presented, I thought it was very clear that this is a thing that this man has done many times. Like this is not the first woman who he views as special and the one. He's fucked over a lot of
Mm.
other people like this, and um, I thought that was really kind of fucked up. And it's just a
Interesting.
really, really messed up movie. I thought, and definitely very depressing.
Yeah, I've heard of this is incredibly depressing.
It's all just about like
And
the
I found
loneliness
that
and
interesting that it was
mhm.
animated.
It's all about like the loneliness and mundanity of life, practically. Um, and
Yeah,
it
it's
depicts
just
that
weird as
very,
fuck.
very well. I'd say, and the animation is perfect in this movie. It's
Is it
pretty,
animation or
pretty
is it
mind.
claymation?
It's stop motion. Yeah,
Stop motion? Okay,
yeah.
interesting. This is
And
definitely on the list for me. I want to check it out.
I highly recommend it, but I definitely liked it for a lot of different reasons that I've seen online. And I'd be
Alright,
interested to see how you feel about it. But I fucking hated the main character. I thought he was kind of a piece of shit.
interesting.
But I really did love Anomalisa, and like I said, up next one, third to bottom, was Confessions of a Dangerous Mind for me. Loved that movie. But as I do, I love all
Right
these
on.
other Coffin movies, and it was incredibly fucking hard for me to make this list.
Charlie Coffin.
The next one though on my list is Bing John Malkovich. Um,
Okay.
and as we talked about, I love Bing John Malkovich, and it's hard to put these movies in a list. There's not too much else to say about it.
Sure.
I just these other movies above it purely just mean more to me and just hit me more emotionally harder. But I really do think it's a fucking amazing movie. But
Um,
I'll actually just run down the rest of my list, and then you can go into yours. That'll be easier, I
that'd
think.
be good. Yeah.
But and then
Save it.
next I had Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This is my fourth favorite Kaufman movie, and I fucking love this movie, of course. But the only real complaints I have about it is it feels I don't really they don't really resolve the storyline with Patrick or with Stan, Mark Ruffalo's character and Elijah Wood's character. I kind of wish they did a little bit more with them at the end, um, but that is pretty nitpicky stuff.
Hmm.
And really, the
Yeah.
other three above it
They
just mean more to me.
I
But
I I kind of agree with you. They gave those characters a lot of depth and they kind of tossed them aside at the end,
yeah,
which is
yeah,
a little bit disappointing.
it definitely
So I
is a little
agree. Yeah.
disappointing. So I would not say it's Kaufman's best script, obviously, and I would not say it's his best movie. But getting into the upper echelon of Kaufman, there's the three sections basically.
Echelon.
Those three: Eternal Sunshine, Being John Malkovich, Confessions, and Anomalisa. I all had at 4.5 stars. These top three I
Yeah.
all got at a perfect 5. I think these are all masterpieces and amazing movies. And at number 3, I have Adaptation. Talked a lot about it. I fucking love Adaptation. This movie's amazing. Uh, the way it shows writing is just such a unique, interesting way that I find just so engaging. But it didn't emotionally hit me as much as my second, which is Synecdoche, New York. And I love Synecdoche, New York, and I love Adaptation, obviously, as I've talked about so much. But with my number one, I had to go with I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Obviously,
man.
we'll go more into this in this next section when we go into our in-depth, real thoughts and reviews on this movie. But I'm thinking of ending things. Spoil it a little bit. Just the way that it depicts suicidal thoughts. At least for me, in my life currently, and how it's been is feels very relevant and very honest, and really fucked me up, honestly. And this movie really fucking hit me, and I'm just obsessed with it. And as with other Kaufman movies, I love all of his movies, but something about this new one about I feel like he really just lets the floodgates go and just puts everything on the table, and I think it's his most beautiful, interesting movie. But that's my list.
I think it's. I'm just because I'm doing this in my head. I'm just gonna go for my best.
Yeah.
Which I think is Synecdoche, New York. The amazing film. Rewatching it the second time, I got way more out of it. I fucking bawled my eyes out. I love it. I've got to go quick here because I'm running out of battery. Yeah. But my number 2 was Being John Malkovich. Real fucking funny movie. Real shocking movie. Great performances all around. A really amazing fucking feature debut from Spike Jonze.
Absolutely.
And Kaufman. Number 3, I would put Eternal Sunshine, Spotless Mind. That's like just classic, man. That's fucking classic.
Yeah.
And I love the story, and I love Jim Carrey in a more sedated role. I think that's really, really interesting. I thought it was perfectly casted for Kaufman's writing. And my number 4 slot, let's see, what would I put there? Now I gotta think about it a little bit. Which ones don't I like? No.
Which ones fucking suck?
I'm thinking of ending things. I really like this movie a lot, and we'll talk about more in extended review. But yeah, man, this movie fucking hit home in a lot of ways, and I maybe related to it maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But I fucking loved it, and you're right, it's incredibly beautiful. It might be his most beautiful movie. It's definitely the one I cried the most at. Number 5. Okay, wait. I think I got most of what I've seen, right?
Yeah. So your list was Synecdoche, Being John Malkovich, Eternal Sunshine, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and then Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. That's all 5 you've seen, right?
Yeah, that's all I've seen. And then Adaptation, and I want to put Anomalisa on my list, and then I'll get to Human Nature one of these days.
Definitely. Anyway,
that's my list.
That's gonna wrap up our little introspective on Charlie Kaufman. Hope you guys enjoyed that section. We're gonna take a little break, and then we'll go into our in-depth thoughts on Charlie Kaufman's new movie on Netflix, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Stay tuned. Hey guys, just reminding you to stay until the end of the show so you can hear what we're talking about next week, so that you can write in, either DM us on Instagram or Twitter in the Closet WJN if you want to participate in the conversation next week. We got Rex and Anna writing in this week, which is great of them. And also just want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors of Anchor. Anchor couldn't do anything without them. They are the only reason I can do this podcast, basically. They're super easy to use, free website, and it'll distribute your podcast onto any podcast share basically available out there. And highly recommend it, and shout out to them. Thanks for listening. Stay to the end of the episode and check out Anchor. All right, okay. God damn it.
Okay.
Boing.
There you go.
Yes. I'm ready.
Boing.
All right, hey guys, what's up?
Let's
We're
do it.
fucking back. We're back.
Oh,
We're doing our review of I'm Thinking of Ending Things, the new Charlie Kaufman movie on Netflix. Obviously, this is full spoilers. You do not want this movie spoiled if you haven't seen it. Go watch this shit. Come back. Listen to our explanation. It's a little bit confusing, but I think I got a pretty firm understanding, at least what I think happened. So come back after you watch it. But let's fucking start. Nick, you want to do some general thoughts on what you thought of I'm Thinking of Ending Things?
Man, Charlie Kaufman's a fucking terrible writer. This movie sucks. Oh my god. I was like in the middle of watching this movie and I was like, why am I bored? And I turned on Saw 7 and I was much happier. So that's my review of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Jacob, what would you? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I just didn't. Fuck this movie. I hated this movie. I didn't understand it. I put on Saw 8 afterwards, actually.
Oh, it hasn't even fucking come out. That's crazy. Wow, exclusive edition.
Yes.
End the podcast.
Yep, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Follow the socials. Thank you. Okay.
Of course. Appreciate it, guys.
In all seriousness, this was my number 2, I believe, on my list. And for good reason. This is a fucking great movie. And the fact that I was able to watch this comfortably at home, just turned on some Netflix and I was like, oh, there it is. Click on it. And I watched it at like, I want to say like 6 o'clock in the morning. Doing something, and I don't know if I can say it on the podcast, but like it was like let's just say I was in a different state of mind when watching this movie, and I loved it. It was amazing, and it was like the perfect time to watch this movie. Like it was like a perfect time of day. I don't know why. It was like because this movie's so melancholy. The morning like felt like the perfect time to.
And there's so much to chew on with this movie, and so much to think about. You know, you can just kind of stew on it for the rest of the day.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, I still think about some of the things that this movie.
Absolutely.
So, for example, like this movie, I related to it a little bit, like in the ways the dialogue, like what's the main character's name? It's just
Jake.
Woman.
The young woman.
No.
The young woman's just a young woman.
Young woman.
Yeah.
That's right. I forget the actress. I'm real bad.
Jessie Buckley. She's from. Right. You ever watched Chernobyl?
Yeah. Holy
she's
shit! I didn't even fucking recognize.
She's in fucking Chernobyl. She's great in that.
Oh my god, I love Chernobyl. That was amazing miniseries. She's what was I gonna say? Oh, she has these. When you first watch the movie, it becomes. Can we set like the beginning of it? It's basically Jesse Plemons picking up his girlfriend, and they're gonna go to his parents' house. And the first, I would say, it felt like 20 minutes.
So yeah, the movie's basically structured. There's the drive, there's the dinner at the house, and then their drive back. That's the movie.
Yeah,
that's basically the entire movie.
The drive back does have a few stops though. But I'm not thinking about it that way. I just came up with a bunch of other stuff now. But the first, I want to say like 15 minutes probably was like all dialogue in the car. And it was like the most relatable car dialogue I've ever like seen. Like that. Like if you've ever been in a car, like especially if it was like someone you're dating at the time and you're like kind of in a fight or you're just feeling uncomfortable about things, or if it's like a relationship that just like the honeymoon phase just ended, that feeling in the car was so fucking relatable. And the thoughts that she was having, like I'm thinking of ending things. It's related to their relationship in the beginning. I'm thinking of ending the relationship.
Yeah, at first you think it's just about the relationship, but as the movie kind of progressive, you start to realize what that really means. And that's kind of like a lot of the core ideas and themes of the movie.
And during that dialogue, as she's like listening, in her head, Jesse Plemons kind of reacts like he could hear it,
Hmm.
and that's never addressed, but later in the movie you'll figure out why.
Hmm.
Actually, pretty soon you could figure out why.
I yeah.
But
I'll
um,
touch on
on my
that, but
on my second watch, I was
hmm,
immediate almost.
yeah.
Um, because of the way the dialogue presented itself. I think you know what it is, and I'll let you
Hmm.
uh, go on to that. But the way she was thinking, having thoughts in her head, the things she was saying was incredibly human. Like a lot of Charlie fucking Kaufman
Hmm.
dialogue is
All of the
incredibly
characters
human,
were,
incredibly
yeah, so realistic,
realistic,
you know.
super realistic. Yeah. Um, uh, one thing I forget the line, but she basically describes how this thought of I'm thinking of anything keeps coming in her head at
Hmm.
like the most interesting times, or just happens. And like they'll be doing dialogue, like they'll be talking to Jesse Plemons and her will be talking to each other, and they have like some one-off conversation, and then it kind of ends and there's silence, and then immediately she's like I'm thinking of anything, and I'm like or like or like he's in the middle of like talking and she's like I'm thinking of anything. It's like this is how people this is how people think, and it was
Hmm.
so well done.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna have a lot of dialogue in somebody's head, it either comes like played out a little hokey, but in this movie it felt uh so like non screenwriting. It
Yeah.
felt realistic, man.
I totally agree. That's
Um,
something that's so great about Kaufman's movies is using things that you would typically hate in a movie, but he makes them work so well. I was talking about this a lot primarily in his movie adaptation, um, with his use of narration and cliches, and that's very prominent in this movie with
oh yeah.
so much narration goes on in this
Oh my
movie.
god, yeah.
But it works so fucking well because of you realize what that narration means and who really is narrating it, which we'll kind of get into, is just insanely impressive and just really interesting to watch.
Do you remember what the conversation was about, or any key highlights of the conversation in the beginning?
Of that first one,
Uh,
um,
mm-hmm.
not necessarily, I guess.
Because it
There,
was a lot of one-offs, basically.
mm-hmm,
And like any context and any like
mm-hmm. There is something in
any
there that
kind
I'll
of
call back to in a bit, but
sure, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, go do that. But like everything is like laid out for you pretty easily. Like
mm-hmm,
but and you don't really need that much exposition,
yeah,
but the exposition that's given is really helpful. And
yeah,
on the second watching, it was like a whole nother conversation
mm-hmm,
almost.
yeah. As we've been saying a
But
lot, obviously, this movie, I'd say, does. I don't think it requires a second watch. I do think
it
you
doesn't.
can understand it on one watch, but I do think it benefits from a rewatch, but it is not required. I do think, yes, this movie is confusing, and obviously, I found myself incredibly confused on what's really happening throughout. Obviously, just how I watch movies. I'm a very active movie watcher. And
Yeah, I'm so
I'm
confused on some of this
constantly
movie.
making theories in my head. My first theory, I actually, so we'll state this right now. There's a lot of theories that you can say about what happened in the movie, like what the scenes really mean. But there's one thing that is a fact, absolutely for sure. I do not think you can argue in any way. Jake is the janitor.
Oh, okay,
That
we're going to
is
spoilers right now,
obviously
right?
we've been in spoilers. It doesn't matter,
Oh,
but
my bad.
yeah,
Okay.
no, you're good. But that is undeniable. Jake is the janitor. Now there's a lot of other stuff you can
The movie
obviously,
tells you right away.
and I honestly I noticed that. I will admit in the first like 15-20 minutes I was like I'm pretty sure the janitor's Jake
I
because you
figured it out in like the first minute.
yeah.
Like when they
There's that
showed him at
shot
the
of him
window, I was
looking
like,
through the
"That's
window, and then it cuts
Jesse
to, and I'm
Plemons. Why
like,
is he standing with
yeah,
an
I was
old man
like,
standing?
hmm,
Oh, is that him?
interesting.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't know how it played
Yeah.
out though.
Obviously, didn't know how it played out. My my first theory was that Jake, the janitor was Jake, but somehow he was like aging backwards. I don't know.
Like a
I,
Benjamin Button?
yeah, I
Like
thought it was like a Benjamin Button type thing. Like those
interesting.
were like flashbacks, because the reason why I kind of thought that, which also made me realize that Jake definitely is the janitor, is there's the scene when he's talking about Oklahoma on that car drive, and he's like
Yes.
they would do Oklahoma every single year or something, and then it literally cut to the janitor watching the students performing Oklahoma. I'm
It was
like,
a bit on the nose,
yeah,
but
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I get it. Yeah, Jake
I
is
think at
janitor. I
that
got
point
that.
Kaufman was like, I want you to know. I don't really want this to be a mystery. I
Hmm.
want you to know. And on the
And
first viewing, I kind of got it, but
mhm.
like
I
on the
got it,
second
but
viewing, I was like,
I didn't
thank
really
you. I was
understand
like,
it.
this is really helpful to the audience, especially in
Yeah,
one of your fucking weird movies,
yeah.
bro. I appreciate
He
this.
gives you everything in this movie
Yes.
about what happens, I think. And obviously I've talked about it's my favorite Coffin movie, and it's my favorite movie of the year. I really love this movie. And something I'm really
That's
glad you
fair.
brought up, that idea of I'm thinking of ending things, and the way it had abruptly come up, and how she brought up the idea, how it was something that it just kind of popped into her mind. She doesn't know when this idea started, of where she wanted to break up with him, but in reality, it is
Yeah.
Jake talking about
Yes.
suicide and thinking about killing himself, and that it is the most relatable thing I've ever
But
seen. I've
should
What were you gonna say?
I'm assuming people that are listening have seen the movie, but if they haven't, the reason why she hears that and janitor Jake hears that is because
Hmm. She's a figment of his imagination, and
there you go.
I'd say the whole thing is completely made up, besides the janitor parts, until
Oh,
the end, and
I believe that.
that's made up. But I think that is pretty clearly that's what I believe happens. Is so I guess
I believe that too.
I'll kind of go into that right now, of just what I genuinely think actually happened in the movie. Is it's this man, the janitor Jake. He's on the last legs of his life. He potentially has dementia. He has a bunch of regrets in his life. He's been thinking about suicide for a long time. He's gonna do it. He knows he's gonna do it at the end of his shift today. He knows it. And during that time, he's daydreaming about what could have been, all the relationships he could have been. That woman represents all of the past women, either relationships he did have with women, or the missed relationships with women that he wished he'd
I
had, and how
I
he
was gonna
messed those up.
yeah, I was gonna say I feel like it could be like past relationships and or mess up, or I feel like this is a guy that's never been in a relationship
Hmm.
before
Yeah,
because some of the dialogue that he's having with this woman doesn't is
yeah,
kind of
it's
weird
really just
and
like
kind of
she's basically just a
masculine.
representation of the woman in his life, and him trying to basically reconcile with what he did in his life, which was nothing.
He in his like what would you call it, dementia dream,
Hmm.
uh he
No,
he call he's watching movies and this he's using basically the same dialogue
hmm.
that the women are speaking in the movies he's watching
Yeah. You
as
see
his
it. It's
dementia
constant. It's
girlfriend.
constantly shown throughout the movie. The very obvious instances are of when she's giving the when she's talking about the review of A Woman of the Influence, the John Cassavetes movie. I thought that scene
Yes.
was fucking hilarious. I didn't understand
Inc-
it, because at that
it was
time
so funny.
I didn't know who Pauline Kael was. Pauline
Oh
Kael
yeah.
is a very famous movie reviewer, and that her books of movie reviews is in his room, alongside many other stuff you see in that scene. When she's going into his room, you see the Pauline Kael reviews, what she does later. You see the poem that she read at the beginning of the movie, the like dog bones poem. Yeah, you see that in there. The very end speech that he gives, the caricature speech where he's wearing the weird old person
Mm-hmm.
makeup, is a straight rip from the A Beautiful Mind speech. It's actually shot in the exact same way too, I believe. Um,
Yeah, I noticed that
yeah,
immediately. I was like,
yeah.
also that movie fucking sucks.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen A Beautiful Mind,
It's not
but
very
I've
good.
seen that speech, and
I don't know
I
why
knew it.
people think it's so good.
It's so funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's him. He's creating this like ideal woman, practically filling her with these ideas of you know, she's a painter at one point, and the paintings that she shows are paintings from his like famous painter that you see when she goes into the basement of the house
Oh yeah.
finally. She's a poet at one point. You see that he obviously loves poems. It's basically all these different aspects of her are just amalgamations of the things that Jake
Mhm.
loves, and he's projecting on her because he's just trying to reconcile with his life and trying to basically picture this perfect relationship that he wishes he had, which is so fucking sad.
It's incredibly sad. Mixed with the fact that the guy's old as fuck, and that's sad.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. Like, can we get into like his when they get to the parents and Tony Collette and
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
his face?
definitely. I
Uh,
the first thing I want to bring up there
Entourage.
is just not only was obviously the aging makeup phenomenal, aging and de-aging Tony Collette and David Thewlis during that
Oh
whole
my
sequence at the house
god,
is mind-blowing, but also the way that they
Tony Collette
portray
looks
the other ages as
unrecognizable
well.
in some of those
it
scenes.
it's it's not just enough to wear the old people makeup. The way they change their performance so
Oh my god,
drastically
yeah.
between is just really mind-blowing shit. In that whole scene is definitely where the horror aspects come into the movie. This movie has been marketed kind of as a horror movie, and
Uh, I don't like that.
I kind of agree that it's a horror movie, but where I believe the
Eh.
book that it's based on is a lot more horror based. There's a lot more like blood and gore and shit like that, and there's some like way
Oh
more fucked
really?
up stuff that happens apparently. But
Oh, okay.
and that's where the horror aspects come from that, and I still felt those horror aspects in this movie. There were some really
Hmm.
intense, really fucking scary scenes I honestly thought in this movie. Um but
Hmm.
the horror instead comes from the idea of humanity and loneliness and missed relationships and missed opportunities. That's where the horror comes from, is the reality of life
Interesting.
basically. And it I think it just comes together in such an incredible way of it's so dark, but it still felt weirdly like you said earlier, melancholy. You know, it almost gave me like a
Oh my god,
comforting
yeah.
feeling at the
Through
end.
the
um
whole movie, it
yeah.
felt
And I brought this up
like it felt like I want to be cozy, but I can't.
yeah. And the I brought this up in last bit where I was talking about synecdoche, about how depressing movies make me feel a little bit better, especially when I'm feeling a little sad. And this movie hits that to a T. I think obviously it is an
There you go.
incredibly sad, fucked up story. Um, but it almost gives me hope because it's the idea behind you really just need to pursue what you love. And it's all about doing what you love, and also about the relationships that you have with not only your family and your friends but just everybody, and the love that you can share with others. That's just what life is really about. It's all just about your relationships. um, and I think that's something that's really important to think about. And it doesn't matter if you have a million other relationships or just one other person, you know? It's just all about the love that you can give and the love that you can receive. And that's kind of what life should be, kind of your drive to do, is to spread love and to also receive love, because everyone is willing,
Hmm.
everyone deserves love, everyone, you know?
Everyone wants love, man.
Everyone wants love and everyone deserves it. Every single person. Um,
Yeah.
man, yeah, this movie is fucking sad as shit, dude. But
Um, I, w-
so
I want to
you
talk a little bit about. I guess this would probably be considered a horror element. Um, I'm gonna go off a weird tangent, but like, uh, when it comes to like horror, horror is the word is put on a lot of movies that
mm-hmm,
aren't typically considered horror.
yeah,
uh, but instead they're just genre movies and they can't be put anywhere else except for like the horror genre. And I would say this would be a movie like that. This is definitely a genre movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'd say it probably leans more towards on the thriller side, which I think a lot of movies who do put
really
horror in it. Yeah, I'd say just because
interesting.
the thrilling aspect
Yeah,
of
yeah,
it's not full on horror, but the thriller aspects of the
definitely,
intensity of what's happening and trying to figure out what's
yeah.
happening and the sinisterness of it.
Well, there's definitely horror elements.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think the moment where she's going down to the basement, uh, was
Oh my god.
probably the most
Yeah,
tense scene, right?
absolutely.
Other than that though, like
The
everything
or
else felt kind of mild.
when
I'll
she
be
gets the
honest.
phone call and she walks up to the window and she looks back and they're all gone. Jake and the parents, they're in the room.
Oh, when it's
She
just silent.
yeah, and then she
Yeah,
looks back and they're all gone. That fucking I was like my heart just like sank like, "Oh fuck, this is about to get really bad." And it's like, no, it's
that's
not about to get really bad. It's already gotten bad because this guy's literally
uh,
about to fucking kill himself.
it's gotten
Like
yeah. It's at the
he's
worst.
already
This whole movie,
that's
he's at his worst moment.
that's the
Yeah.
whole sad thing about the movie is he knew from the beginning, he's planning on it. He was planning on killing himself after his work shift, and
That's
leads
fucking
I think
sad.
that leads to the idea of like why he was so he's at this school for so late into the night for no reason. It's because he doesn't want to. He's going to kill himself when he gets off his work, but he doesn't want to, and so he's still at the school. He's still cleaning, just like brewing on the idea of whether he should do it, but he knows when he gets off he's gonna do it, and so he just continues to clean and clean.
I have some questions. Why is it that Jesse Plemons wants to go there at the end?
Hmm.
Was it just to,
I'd say it's
or
because
was that when he killed himself, or was that like
So I'd say when
uh
Jesse
tr-
Plemons going there at the end, I think there's that shot of when she's going into the school and she throws away the smoothie and there's like a
yeah,
million of those smoothies all filled in there. I think that's supposed
that
to
was a
let
great
you
shot by the
Yeah,
way.
I think that's supposed to let you know that this isn't the first time this has happened. Obviously, he's been having these thoughts for a while, but he's had these daydreams before
Oh
too. He's had these thoughts
shit!
before too, and this is
Yeah,
just
I didn't
another
think
go
about
around
that.
of it. But this is the last go around of
That's
it.
fucking real, dog. That's how real people think like
Yeah,
that, man. When if people that are having thoughts like that, yeah, and it's a consistent thing that's like like
yeah,
trigger warning, but people are like in their head like, fuck, I'm gonna kill myself.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
it's just like
I
it's like
agree.
normalized, man.
It's horrible. It sucks having that thought all the time. I'll be the
That
first
makes
one
that
to
makes
say,
that.
I
Go ahead.
I've had suicidal thoughts since I was
Yeah.
every single day since I was probably 13 years old.
Jeez,
And that
man.
idea behind it just kind of popping up and you don't know where it came from, but it's always there and it's always reminding you of it was
Yeah.
hard to watch, but
It's
very
that. It's
real.
the.
And I've never seen anything like that before. That depiction
It's
of
the
it.
itch. It's an itch, man.
Yeah, it's
And
horrible.
it was incredibly well conveyed in this
Yeah, absolutely.
movie. Yeah. This is your favorite Kaufman movie?
For sure. Yeah. I'd say, I obviously I love all of Kaufman's movies, but I think it is really just because of that idea behind the suicidal thoughts, and that is kind of like what holds the movie down basically. That's basically the general idea of like what's really happening is it's this guy having suicidal thoughts and trying to come to terms with it and trying to figure out what to do. Um that whole idea I've never seen before, and it's just way too relatable, but in like the best kind of way because it helps remind me what I was saying
Hmm.
earlier about you may have these thoughts, these things happen, but you just got to keep going because it's all about your relationships and the love you give, and the love that you receive. And it's all just about those relationships that you have in the life. And so that's why I found this movie to be, um, obviously it's not a happy ending, but it makes me, it just reminds me to stay positive,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
which I think is just
Um,
obviously incredibly important.
Another question I have. I'm unsure what the uh last ending scene, like, what is that supposed to represent?
The
Or
whole
does it,
face makeup
or,
scene.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so that whole scene is him dying. This is like his final kind of ode before he dies. Obviously, he gives the beautiful he gives the beautiful mind speech, and then he goes into a song. It's a song from Oklahoma, um,
Mm,
and it's basically him accepting what's happened, and telling all these people in his life basically about what's happened, and basically, yeah, just kind of accepting his fate, um, and laying down to rest. I'd say. I do think there's a lot, more to say about that scene.
Looking
I
back,
need to
that makes that
rewatch it,
scene a
but
lot more sad.
yeah.
That's a real sad scene. Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
Um,
The scene that ended up getting me, where I cried both times. So I forgot to mention this earlier about how grateful I am that this is on Netflix. Fucking awesome. Thank you, Netflix, for buying this movie and giving it the money it needed and distribution it needed, because I think it's such an important
sure.
movie. But it just allows you to watch it multiple times, and I took full advantage of that. When I watched this movie, and I was in just such a state of like pure emotion where I knew, I'm like, all right, Jake is the janitor, the girl wasn't real. I have no idea what the else happened. Hit play again. Rewatched it immediately after, and I picked up on so much more, and I cried even harder the second time I watched it. And it was during that
Jesus.
scene when the janitor and the woman finally meet, and
I was gonna say we
that
barely
was
talked about that.
that was when
That's a beautiful
yeah,
scene.
absolutely. And that was when I kind of that was when I finally realized, like, okay, like I knew this woman is supposed to represent the woman in his life because they kept changing her name, kept changing her profession, kept changing her costuming all the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that whole kind of speech she gives to him was just like gut wrenching. Um, and it really kind of tied a lot of the movie together, and that's the scene that really gets me. And then it goes into this beautiful dance number that's basically just a full representation. It's like Charlie Kaufman saying, "All right, I'm gonna explain the movie to you right now. Instead of in every other way with dialogue, like I've done the entire rest of the movie, we're gonna go into interpretive dance, and I'm gonna explain the entire fucking movie in this dance right here, basically.
Yeah, I
Dance and
got
then the end
that.
scene." And I thought that was really impressive, but also just really
It,
beautiful and touching to watch.
it reminded me of the end of La La Land, like the what do they call it? The epilogue, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah, the epilogue.
but it reminded me a lot of that, and I
Hmm.
fucking dug it. It was really cool, really beautiful,
Yeah.
amazing choreography. Uh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Fuck,
Mm.
bro. There's just so many different layers to this movie. Like, we haven't even touched on like the surface of it, of how many themes this movie can deal with. But
Oh yeah.
I think the beautiful part of this is the really just watch the movie, and it gives you everything. You trust your gut. That's the thing that I've been really learning to do in these most recent years with movie watching, and I think this is the movie that's probably the most prominent in that, is trust your gut. You know, think for yourself about what the movie is. Who gives a shit what anybody else thinks what the movie means? Reference: I loved Anomalisa. I loved it for
Mm.
completely different reasons than I've seen almost anybody I've been able to find online talking about this movie. But I still love it in my own way. It's all about just finding about what art means to you, but also not letting art completely control your idea. this movie has a lot to say about art in general. About they talk about how it's almost like mind control. I can't remember the exact quote, but they talk about how you fill your mind with art, and you basically like base your personality around the art that you've seen and such, and like these ideas in your head aren't really yours. You're kind of pulling them from other artistic endeavors, typically movies. um I think that's kind of an interesting, it's
That's how the
definitely,
Mar.
he has a
Go
very
ahead.
cynical look at art, I think, in this movie. um in the way of art isn't fulfillment. Art is a way to express yourself, and it is a way to show human emotion, and you can use it as a way to understand things. Of course, I do that constantly, but that's not who you are and what your ideals are. What you are is your memories and your relationships with people. And I think that really um is the core ideas behind this movie. If that
Who
makes
you
sense.
are is how you are perceived to others,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important to perceive yourself in a positive light as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what you were saying, this movie definitely shines a light on mental health and specifically suicidal thoughts. Um, so you know, I found it very important.
Yeah.
And going back on what you said about taking people art, modern art and modern artists, for the most part, especially in like film, is all taken from, like, the director will take, for example, the most famous instance of this is Tarantino, and about almost all of his movies, it's like almost like 98% stolen from other things,
Mm-hmm.
and other, like, themes and whatnot. But like, you see, that's what a lot of modern art is, though, is taking from past art in history, because we're in 2020 right now. Uh, there's been a long history before us,
Mm-hmm.
so that conversation, I think, is interesting and important to point out, because I see a lot of people saying original ideas don't happen anymore, which is very untrue.
Just completely,
Um,
completely untrue. Original
but
ideas come out all the time. Original movies come out all the time. There is an infinite number of perfect movies out there that have been released. It
yeah,
obviously in all the time that cinema's been alive, and recently too. Um, you just have
oh
to
yeah,
look. It's out there.
I think, I feel like these motherfuckers that are like, I want original ideas in Hollywood, are not paying attention to the original ideas in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why these movies are, when they hit theaters, they're only in for like a week, and they get like 500,000 grand, and that's about it, man. Like these original ideas are out there. They're going on streaming platforms. Nobody knows I'm here is one of my favorite movies of this year,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
so. It's I've never seen anything like that, man.
Yeah,
Like,
fucking yeah. We talked about that in the first podcast of
fuck.
this movie, or first,
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 yeah,
first
first
fucking.
podcast.
Talked about it on the first podcast of this show. Obviously that's in my
Yeah.
top 5 of the year as well. Check out that movie. Nobody Knows I'm Here on Netflix.
I
Great
rewatched
fucking
that the other
movie.
day with
I need to.
one of my buddies,
Mm,
and he fucking loved it.
good. I'm glad.
But yeah, man,
Yeah.
don't fucking ignore original ideas, and don't shit on ideas that are influenced from other things.
Hmm.
I hate seeing that, man.
Yeah.
That's so
There's
annoying.
not an issue with that. It's art is purely a subjective thing.
So subjective.
And
Holy
I
shit! You're supposed to reflect yourself from the art
mhm.
and interpret it.
Something that I
You're,
really love and appreciate is David Lynch in interviews. I talked about this earlier about
yeah.
David Lynch in interviews is how he'll never fucking explain anything in his movies. And I'm like, yes, thank you. Like
That's so funny because like
when a
every
movie
Charlie Kaufman interview, he'll explain his whole movie, which is so
yeah
funny.
yeah
David Lynch is so like no,
yeah
no,
you know experience it for yourself
interpreter.
and interpret it yourself. And I think yeah, it's a great fucking thing. One thing I also wanted to mention about this movie, I really think it uses sound in a really interesting way in this movie. Not only with its score, which is
Mm.
sparse yet really beautiful. That opening score with the beautiful strings, it's like a really like lovey-dovey type feeling. You know, you're getting in the car with your boyfriend. It's a beautiful snowy day. You're happy. Um, and then the way the movie has very little music throughout the rest of it um, really works. So when it actually the music scenes hit, it's so impactful, I believe. And with that, also in just the sound design, there's lots of
Oh
different
yeah.
things he does playing with the sound. Little that little monologue you hear from the janitor, you hear it kind of at the beginning, and then you hear it whenever she gets the phone call from him, basically. It's
Yeah.
That's also kind of spliced throughout the movie in random parts, like kind of in the background. Sometimes people's voices will either get louder or quieter depending on the scene. He
Or
really
like
plays with
for
sound in this
really
movie.
close and far away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he really plays with sound in this movie, and I don't fully understand why he does it all the time, but I find it so interesting. I think, and I
It's
know there's a
very
purpose
interesting.
to it.
Yeah.
Like with every
Does he
other
edit?
Coffin
Does he
movie.
help edit his movies?
I don't know, but I feel like he definitely had a huge say on the
He's
editing in
definitely
this
he's
movie
definitely in the
because
room when they're editing.
those car scenes, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's just a single car scene, but they make it
Yeah.
so dynamic. It's insane. The one time that really got me is when she starts going into the monologue of reading that poem that she wrote.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she kind of looks back into the back seat. It's like the one shot. It's like outside of the car, looking through the back passenger window at her. Um, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Something about that shot just was like, oh my god, okay, something really cool is going on. And the way the editing was so interesting with the dialogue, it was not standard. It would either cut too early or it would cut too late. It'd be stepping on over each other, like how the dialogue was stepping on over each other. Because in reality, it's not two people talking. It's this janitor thinking all these thoughts and trying to reconcile all these different aspects of his life, basically. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just
And
so impressive.
on my second viewing, when I picked that up, it was like game changing almost. It was
Yeah,
insane. It was like
there.
a whole nother movie.
This movie uses every aspect of filmmaking to the highest level. I think
Yeah.
nothing is really missed. I've heard some complaints about this movie about how it kind of disregards our main character of Jessie Buckley, the woman.
She's not the
But
main character.
that's the whole thing, is she's not the main character. The
Yeah.
movie tricks you into thinking she's the main character, and it works really in that way. Um,
She's definitely like the main conduit of the movie, but she's
yeah,
not the
and
main
that
character.
that's what's needed. That's almost a way of it makes the narration excusable in a way because it's through
Yeah.
this way. It has so many different layers of who it's really coming from, and the way it reveals who it actually is coming from, and also what those things really mean, because there's so much subtext throughout everything
Right.
that she says, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just really impressive, I think. Fuck. This movie is crazy. We didn't talk
Mm.
about the Tulsi ice cream stand scene. That scene's fucking that.
Oh yeah.
I'd say that's the most probably horror scene of the movie. That scene is creepy.
Oh, with the
The young
uh
girls, and she's
brunette
like
chick. Yeah.
the fucking shit's burning in the back.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I forgot
ugh.
about that.
Um,
Also, her skin's like getting weird.
mhm.
Um,
Something
that's
about that. I've noticed that the two blonde girls were the two girls who were making fun of him in the high school. The two girls who were making fun of him when the janitor was walking through the hallway. That was them.
Right.
And then there's a one girl who was like a kind of shy girl who was walking through the hallway and kind of gave him a little look. That was the girl who was actually helping them out. Um, and there's a really fucked up theory of this movie that we haven't talked about that I don't think is true, but I can understand it. Is that he is a rapist?
Yeah.
And that girl was one of his victims, basically, and that's why she is so scared for the women to leave.
Yeah.
But I would say she's more so scared for the women to leave because she knows that when they leave, they're going to be going to the school, which means they're going to the school, which means the janitor's going to kill himself. So like, I think it's more so that girl was another one of the many girls that the janitor never interacted with, but he did feel some sort of kinship with. He noticed that it was this girl who was sort of an outcast at school who didn't have too many friends. He felt similar to her. I don't know if you saw you saw the rash shot where she had the rash on his hand or on her hand, and he had it on his hand as well. I thought that was mainly supposed to just kind of represent the idea behind how he understands her, and sort of feels the same. I understand the idea behind like that he could have been like a sex offender, and like all the women that's represented throughout the young woman character is potentially like past victims. And he's trying to reconcile with that.
I don't want to think about that.
I get it, and I can kind of see it, but I don't like that. I don't like that.
That's a fucked up theory. That's a real fucked up theory because Kaufman's portraying this character as like you're like a good guy. Mm-hmm. So that'd be that's a real fucked up theory.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. I don't like that theory then.
I also don't like it. I thought I'd bring it up, but I said, I don't believe intriguing. It's interesting. It's just it's kind of one of the many tiny little details throughout this movie when the whole movie is just a really deep character study onto this man in his life who had a very troubled childhood, who had no friends. His parents were obviously very controlling of him. He does not have a good relationship with them. When he gets to the house with his girlfriend, he sees his mom through the window and he's like, I'm not ready to go in. It's like, oh fuck. Like, yeah, bro, take your time. Like, jeez.
It also goes back what you were saying about I don't know. You were saying something, but it was like it goes back to it being subjective, and that you can interpret whatever you want for the most part, even if
personally, I'm not a fan of that interpretation that he's a rapist, but I do see it.
I don't like to think that.
I also don't like
I do think all the male characters in every single Kaufman movie.
Yeah, that's the thing is weird. Basically every single lead character in a Kaufman movie is like kind of a piece of shit, and this character doesn't really seem like a piece of shit to me. He's just a really fucking like this thing like he might have treated some woman bad in the past, and that's obviously like not it's an inexcusable thing, you know. That when she was going on their rant where it's like, oh, you know, like he asked me for his number, I didn't know what to do, it's just easier to say yes, and that type of idea, you kind of get that idea that potentially he's done that before to other women, and it's him coming to terms with how he's treated women in his life, how he's it seems like I hate to use this word, but he was almost like an incel in a way where he was like almost.
I feel that with a lot of Kaufman's male characters.
Absolutely, and I think this is
like look into the world. Mm-hmm. I think that's why a lot of young male like film buffs are like really into Kaufman. I don't know. I just a theory, but
are you calling me an incel? Are you calling me an incel?
You're not an incel. But I'm saying like I'm just saying like I know young guys are always think. I don't want to get into this, but like I don't know.
No,
It would. I
it's
don't know.
it's the idea
I'm not
behind.
calling anyone an incel.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying young men have
Um,
a lot of different feelings towards women
yeah,
until they
and
start getting into more
and and
relationships.
the thing is, like, there's an idea in this movie. Fuck, hold on, I completely lost my thought. I completely lost what I was gonna talk about.
Once you
Um,
get pussy whipped, then you'll understand. Okay.
practically. Oh, no, no, I remember. It's the idea behind that a woman is gonna solve everything in your life. You get a woman or you get a
Oh
relationship
yeah.
and it's gonna solve everything. And that was basically my entire thought process throughout all of middle school and high school of like, all right, I'm fucking sad as shit. I'm sad as shit right now. But if I get a girlfriend though, I'm gonna be way happier and she will solve my issues.
Yo.
But that is not true. That's
My
not what's gonna
God.
happen. And I've come to terms with that, thank God.
That's that fucking horny middle school mentality, bro. That shit is
Absolutely.
so real.
I was
Oh
a
my
little horn
God.
dog. And
That's
and I
fucking
thought it
funny,
would
bro.
solve all my issues. Um and it never does. It never does. Uh
Yeah. We're getting way off topic.
oh God.
Should
Jesus
we
Christ. We'll start.
take see
Yeah.
any written in reviews or
Yeah.
whatever?
So that's kind of some of our thoughts on it. We'll kind of go into my buddies Rex and Anna, if you guys will remember, they hopped on the second podcast on Sorry to Bother You. They watched this movie and they had some pretty interesting ideas on it, and so they wrote in, and I will read their reviews now of I'm Thinking of Anything First. This
Let's
is
hear it.
Rex's thoughts of it. This movie really threw my ass for a loop, but damn, it was a good film. It really makes you think, and you have to decode the film and what it means. The movie really throws a lot at you in a very creepy yet beautiful kind of way, especially at the end when it finally ties it all together. It really is a crazy trip to realize how the entire film was about Jake and how he wished to provide his life. My favorite part of the film was the cinematography and the way they shot it all with very limited music, long, uncomfortable, silent scenes that really evoke certain emotions. Overall, a very crazy, creepy, and wild film, and definitely worth a second watch. And obviously, I completely agree with a lot of those things.
Yeah, man.
The
That's true, Robert.
even
Fucking Roger Ebert right there. I
absolutely.
like that.
And yeah, that was a great little written review, Rex.
That was. I
Um,
really like that.
yeah, and I agree. Even though we were saying about how we kind of me and Nick did kind of understand how Jake was the janitor pretty early on. It still it does become, even if you know that, it still is a twist at the end where it's like, oh no, literally none of this happened. Like, I thought it was
Yeah.
maybe like fragments of memories and stuff like that, but literally I think none of this happened. This is all completely made up with him, by him. And that is just a mind fuck of an idea, I think,
Hmm.
for sure.
I agree.
Yeah, and yeah, the way it uses music, obviously we are talking about that earlier, and the cinematography is
I found
so
that interesting. Yeah.
beautiful.
It's incredibly beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and the music in it is very subtle, but when it works, it works.
So yeah,
So I
heavily
agree.
agree. Yeah, thanks for writing in, Rex. Great little review.
Thank you.
And obviously, we agree completely with your thoughts. We both fucking love this movie, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
definitely agree. It's definitely worth a second watch for anybody. Second watch, a third watch, a fourth watch. Watch this as many fucking times as you want, and you'll never not pick up on something new. I think there's so much in this movie. Anna also
Hell yeah.
wrote in, and so Anna had some different thoughts on this movie. First of all, I was pretty stoned when I watched this movie, and I thought it was gonna allow me to dive really deep into whatever concepts the movie was trying to engage us with. But I ended up being really disappointed as it felt like a bunch of jumbled nonsense masquerading as a
Oh
deeper
man.
meaning. Everyone I watched this with was deeply uncomfortable the entire time and mainly just confused. The main character, parentheses, the woman, initially seemed like an intelligent, interesting character, but to me just proved herself to be almost egotistical. Her long, dreary monologues led in no particular direction. It honestly just felt like the director or head writer had like a mental breakdown, poured it into this film, and left us all with a fragmented main character who was just as confused as the rest of us, but didn't care because she was just as insane herself. Elements I did really
Okay.
enjoy about the movie were the changing ages of the parents, amazing and experimental, but once again, they did not align with anything of the messages in the story. It just occurred and then we moved on and didn't make sense. It was also shot and colored and extremely well made. The sound design was incredible and extremely cutting edge. And I also really liked how much she said, maybe I should go to this dinner, and then every chance for her just left. Every chance for her left just hit the ceiling fan. Yeah, and I mean, I
I
get it,
like that.
but
No, I dig that actually. If you don't understand what's like the what the main thing is and like what it
mhm,
all ties together,
mhm.
yeah, it's a fucking
And
confusing
it,
ass
it, it
movie. And
definitely
like,
like if you're fully the entire time, like I was on the first watch too. Obviously, I did believe she was the main character, until near the end when I realized what really was happening.
right,
And
right,
but I would say a lot of the stuff, I think that you were potentially confused about, I think would benefit a lot on the rewatch. And just thinking about just if you rewatch the movie, thinking about it in the idea of that she's not the main character. It's all about Jake, the janitor, and his life, and it's all just a character study on his life and his past relationships and him coming to terms with it. And if you think about it in that sense, I think it makes a lot more sense. And I do think the movie gives you a lot of ways to uh, reconcile with that and know that. But like I said, it is obviously an incredibly confusing movie, and it does trick you into thinking the woman is the main character, and that's
yeah,
a
yeah. I honestly don't think it's a bad thing. And with
mm-hmm,
what's her name again? I'm
Anna.
sorry. If Anna doesn't
Mm-hmm,
watch this again, I think that's perfectly fine because uh Kaufman, you know, he doesn't expect everybody to deep dive into his movies except for like his core like fans or people that like his stuff. Um, so I found it actually very interesting that she uh, pointed out things that I never saw,
mm-hmm,
like how the girl was egotistical. And looking back, yeah, she was real
mm-hmm.
egotistical and like kind of a fucking dick.
Yeah.
But when you
When you
so
realize
watch
why,
it,
though.
I know when you realize why. But like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying, like if
No,
you
for sure,
don't,
of
it's
course.
a different movie, and I find that really interesting. Even if she didn't like that, I found her perspective very interesting because
Yeah, I agree. I agree
I haven't
100%.
heard of that perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
that was a really good review,
Yeah, yeah.
really well thought out.
Appreciate both of you guys writing in. Sparked some good discussion. Obviously, we fucking love this movie. If you haven't seen it and you watch this review, go fuck yourself. No, but
Uh, uh, uh,
no. Check out this movie. Check out this movie. It really, really is great, and I think come back and listen to our thoughts on it. And
yeah,
form your own opinion about it. What we said
yes,
and
it's so important.
what we think happened in the movie in the events. Um, is just what we think. It's completely subjective, and that's how all movies are. And that's one reason why I love it so much. Why I love movies in general, and especially this one.
Is Saw 7 a subjective movie or is it just bad? Be honest.
uh, fuck Saw 7.
Nope, it's subjective. Fuck Saw 7. I'm about to get my
Oh
fucking
god.
Saw DVD collection out right now. No, I'm not even fucking
Okay.
guys.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't seen any of the Saw movies besides the first one.
That's okay. I love the
I
series, but
and
you
I
really haven't seen
love
anything.
the first Saw. The first Saw movie is a legitimately an incredibly well done movie. I love that movie.
Um, super off tangent, but Spiral is supposed to come out this year.
That's right. It
Um,
never came out, right?
never came
Yeah.
out, and that was a Saw movie that I was very excited for.
I was excited for that too.
I
Like
love
Chris
the
Rock in it.
director.
Who's
Yeah, the
directing it?
director is specific. Is the guy who did actually Saw 2,
Okay.
Saw 3, and Saw 4. But like other than those movies, I think Saw 2 is good, and I think Saw 2 and 4 are good. But like he also did Repo and The Devil's Carnival, which is horror. Like if you ever seen like Rocky Horror Picture Show, it's like that,
Okay.
but like super intense.
Ooh,
And it's
okay.
fucking awesome, like rock opera. And he came back to do Spiral.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I
So
want to check
was
that out.
excited to see that.
I'm a pretty
We're
big fan of
super
Rocky
off
Horror Picture
tangent.
Show. Yeah, fucking, we're way
I
off
think it's
tangent.
terrible, but
We'll-
yeah.
Okay, it's bad, but it's so good. It's so good though.
I mean, I would watch it in the theater, and that's about it. It has to be.
To
with
be
people
fair,
that
I've
like that
only
movie.
watched it once, and I watched it in the ideal setting of in a theater with the actors
There you
on
go.
stage with everybody who was involved. It was a
Oh.
great fucking time, you know.
Oh, it was a.
Yeah, it
stage
was like
production.
the actors doing it, and they also had the movie
That would be
on
much
behind
more
them.
fun than watching the movie. I think.
Yeah, no, yeah,
I think that would be a lot more fun.
It was a great fucking
Was,
experience.
Okay. Cool. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna wrap that up. We'll give
Charlie Kaufman.
Charlie Kaufman. Fuck yeah, we love Charlie Kaufman. He's the best.
This segment definitely went longer than.
Oh,
we
that's
probably
okay.
should've, but
That's okay. The first segment went way fucking longer than we wanted to too. That's just the theme of
it's
this
a
podcast.
long
Episodes going
podcast.
too long and episodes coming out too late.
How long? Yeah. Too late. We don't have a schedule on these episodes.
In my
It comes out
in
when
my
we want them to
in my
come out.
Anchor bio description, I have it listed as a weekly podcast. So
Better fucking change that real quick.
I gotta change that
How
shit
long
after
was
this. The
how
Tenet
long
one
was our
ended up
Nolan
being
podcast?
the Nolan one ended up being 2 hours and 45 minutes, bro.
That's
I think this
you
one
could have just watched.
I think this
Tenet
one's
again.
this one's gonna end up being about 2 hours and 30 minutes, I think.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Why do we?
I think that
we need to
means
stop talking.
I think that means we should probably wrap this shit up.
Yeah.
We'll give
Jesus.
our reviews of this. I give this movie a 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever the fuck. This is a perfect movie. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love this shit so much. How about you?
It's an A+. This is Kaufman's third best movie.
Ooh, wait, what
Maybe
was your?
I came up in my head. And it was like
okay.
It was
It's a
on the
rough
spot,
list.
'cause I wasn't
get it.
prepared for it.
I get it.
But it's definitely.
Wasn't prepared what I told you
Top three,
beforehand,
probably.
but it's okay.
You actually didn't. I asked you. I remember asking you.
Oh
this
my
is on record
God,
on
no
the
way.
podcast.
No
I
way.
texted you and asked you if we were gonna rank them, and you're like,
God.
"No, we're just gonna discuss them." And I'm like,
no way.
"Okay, that's
I
cool."
Totally
And then,
told
like,
you. This is slander.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is not
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
I
yeah.
will not stand for
5
this.
minutes. 5 minutes before we started recording, Jacob's like, "Yo, you ranked them, right?" And I'm like, I just got off work, bro."
Fuck. Anyway,
That's all good.
that's our show for the week. Thank you for fucking listening. That's about Kaufman. Check out I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It's on Netflix. And check out the show. We're on In the Closet with Jacob Nestor. That's a full title. We're on YouTube. We're on Anchor. We're on Spotify. We're on any other podcast share. And I actually checked it. We have a listener in Singapore as well. What the fuck?
Hell yeah. What's up,
Shout
Singapore?
out our international fans. Check us out. Instagram, Twitter, In the Closet WJN. Check out the podcast. Follow me, Jacob Nestor 568, Instagram, Twitter, or Letterboxd to catch up what I've been watching all the time. Check out the YouTube cast, everything. It's on my YouTube channel, Jacob Nestor. Where can they find you at, Nick?
Nick's_sailing on Letterboxd if you want to see my old posts.
If you want to see his post that he never updates, but it's okay. He'll do it sometime.
I will do it sometime when I'm not doing nothing.
Yes,
Okay.
of course. Anyway, that's our show for the week. Thanks for sticking around. And tune in next week, probably in 2 weeks realistically, when we're going to be talking about Twin Peaks. See you guys.
I'm probably not going to be there for that episode.
That's fine. All right, later.